339-1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
Yes. On a Monday, Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Simone behind the glass for us today as we get your week started off right. And on the 13th, we talk about number 13. The Kings stay exactly where most of us thought they would stay. The very small percentage that they have of a chance of moving up in the draft did not happen, but they also didn't move down. And we will discuss who the Kings should go with at 13 and whether they should keep that person and that player or move it on. Got some A's for you. Martin Gallegos, writer for MLB.com, who covers the A's. That is at 11:30. Also some updates from David Sampson on the purchasing of the A's or that financial situation as well. And we asked the question at 12 o'clock, is it too late for De'Aaron Fox to make his way into the elite conversation? This stuff happened fast, and it's already been 7 years. Chris Watkins, how you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, had a good Mother's Day. Hope you did too.
Yes,
it's nice to be out with the family and all that. And it was a good weekend. The lottery was yesterday, like you mentioned. I did get my hopes up for, I don't know, maybe something. Like a day of just something happening. You never know. I think the Kings had like a 4% chance of moving up. Kind of talked myself into the possibility of that and what all of that would mean. But it was a good weekend, and I feel like I'm gonna have to at some point during today. We're gonna have to talk about PJ Washington because he's now had 2 good games, which has kind of led to Dallas turning things around. And I'm starting to get concerned that maybe just maybe that might end up being a good move for Dallas. But besides that, had a good weekend.
Yeah, well, the whole thing was okay. He's got definitely a high ceiling. What is he going to become? And maybe he's getting there, which kind of leads itself into that elite conversation just as far as with the draft and how you evaluate talent and what can eventually happen with talent, timelines, whether that's De'Aaron Fox or Keegan Murray or guys that aren't even on the Kings. How long should this stuff take to get into those higher tiers of players and things like that? So we will break all of that down for you. We already have, it happens quick. We already have mock drafts up. We already have other thoughts from different guys who write for The Ringer and ESPN and Yahoo Sports. Who should the Kings take at number 13? And nobody knows. And everybody is already talking about how this is a bad draft. So this is where we're at, Chris.
Yep.
Since everybody has been saying it's such a bad draft, there's going to be at least one generational player in this draft. Right?
That's how it goes. That's how 2013
it just matter of being
Yep.
who is going to be that guy and who is, I think
someone's going to feel really smart at the end of this. Like somebody's going to fall in love.
They said it was a bad draft.
Exactly. This is exactly what happened with Giannis in 2013. Everybody said that was, and even if you look at it now, it still is a really terrible draft. And everybody said at the time it was going to be a really terrible draft.
Yeah.
But to your point, you just find there's always just because it's a bad draft doesn't mean it's going to be unusable players. It just might not be that high of ceiling players. And, and that's not definite. I mean, the whole recruiting, scouting process is an imperfect process. I mean, it gets wrong in the NFL all the time. People still happens in the NBA all the time. It's a weird process. And I mean, people will shine because, you see the potential of a Rob Dillingham and you can see how you can get excited about a player like that. He'll rise and fall throughout this process. People will tear you apart. And then, to the Giannis point or there's going to be a star in this draft. A lot of times, OKC swung and missed on a guy named Poku. Remember Pokuševski? Yeah. Those are the kind of guys that end up either popping or being complete busts. And sometimes they're Giannis, sometimes they're Poku, sometimes they're somewhere in between. And I think that's kind of going to be the thing that we see in this draft. There's a lot of international prospects, a lot of guys who are really raw, but I know Alex Sarr, who's supposed to be the number 1 pick, he's another one of these 7-1. He's from France.
What's happening?
It's just it's the game evolving. I really do think it really is. It's like, you see how the NBA has expanded, and now all of these international prospects are starting to become as good, if not better than American prospects.
But why are these 7-footers just popping up out of nowhere? Where have they been this whole time?
I mean, they left for a while. There was a
Yeah.
minute where the NBA wasn't taking any centers. I think it's just, they got more skilled. They had to kind of figure it out. Like they went extinct for a little, and then, evolution happens, and they had to figure out centers had to play a lot more like guards. And it just kind of took a couple cycles of big men to get to the point where we're at now, where everybody's Kevin Durant coming into the draft.
Yeah.
And it's really not rare. And I think Brendan might have brought it up during the roundtable on Thursday, where he said, like, I think the thing about the Kings in their number 4 spot, their power forward spot is, you look around the league and the guys, I talk about it all the time, Evan Mobley's, the Chet Holmgrens, those guys are rare. Those are like the 2, or maybe you can find, Jaden McDaniels. Those guys are really rare. But to your point, I think more and more of these guys are just kind of starting to filter into the league to the point where, we talk about Cody Williams over the weekend. That's Jalen Williams, his brother on OKC. He looks just like Jaden McDaniels in terms of a player profile. I just think more and more of these big dudes who, previously would just be long 3s or undersized 4s, or maybe even like undersized 5s, they're just now so skilled and talented that it makes up for everything else. And now they're almost like able to play because they can play with the speed of the game now.
We will continue talking all things NBA draft, the lottery, who the Kings should focus on in just a bit here. But as we continue to go through what is on deck for today, a little bit later in the show, the schedules are about to be released this week for the NFL. And Chris found himself talking to, look, we get on Laker fans, we get on Warrior fans for being delusional. Obviously, everybody makes fun of Cowboys fans for being delusional as well. But everybody can get it on this show. And Chris found himself in front of a delusional member of the nation.
Yeah, Raider Nation.
Yeah.
It was a fun weekend. I had a friend's birthday on Saturday, and we had a great time. But ended up talking Raiders with one of my good friends, and he's a really big Raider fan, and he knows his stuff. Like, especially Raider fans. A lot of Raider fans are incredibly dedicated. They know ins and outs. They talk about blocking schemes and stuff all the time. Raider fans are definitely committed, and I think it's very similar to Kings fans, where it's like when you lose for so long, you either jump ship or you double down on your faith and really, really lock in. And I think Raider fans have definitely been through that. And so, I mean, this guy I was talking to, and I definitely respect his opinion 100%, but he was really trying to convince me of this Gardner Minshew wave. And I just kept feeling like I was running into a wall of, it's every fan base will have these guys. Trey Lance was definitely one for Niner fans. I'm sure you can speak more of the Niner delusion that you might have heard throughout your years. But it's just I couldn't get there with Gardner Minshew. And I get, I think because the thing he kept throwing at me, and it's a good point, you look at the Niner system, he continued to compare Gardner Minshew to Brock Purdy more in the sense of he doesn't have to be great. He just has to get it to his weapons. And that's what Gardner Minshew's been great at. And, his point was Devontae Adams is a lot better than anybody else than either Debo or Ayuk. And I couldn't argue that. And I think Jacoby Myers is a fantastic number 2. I think he's underrated. I don't think he's near the level of Debo and Ayuk, but he's a really good number 2.
Just added Brock Bowers. They still have, and another thing was a lot of hype of Michael Mayer. And I continued to say, look, like Michael Mayer, I get the excitement. You look at his film at Notre Dame, he looks sick. He looked ridiculous. He looks like a lesser version of Brock Bowers, but it's just the fact that they took Brock Bowers, and I understand best player available. I understand the logic 100%. I think Brock Bowers is going to be incredible, but I think that, you could do the Gronk Hernandez argument back at you, which is what they're going to say, but I just kind of feel like you don't take another tight end if you have that much faith that Michael Mayer is going to be great. And so the argument was essentially all of these weapons on offense, and all Gardner Minshew has to do is get them the ball. I would argue as well, the Raiders running backs are terrible. Zamir White and Alexander Madison. It's not even that they're terrible. I think Zamir Zeus, I continued to hear that all weekend. So I'm all in on Zamir White now. I get it. He's he could be good. They could be okay, but I just can't see them averaging
any better than like 3.5, 4 yards a carry. And I just don't think that they're going to have a good enough run game to support Gardner Minshew, who's not going to be able to lift up that Raider situation by himself.
No, I mean, you let Jacobs go, and that
Exactly.
whole thing was kind of sticky, and Raider fans think that Jacobs hates the Raiders, and he just says it's business, whatever the case is. So he's gone now, and you don't really have a backup plan, if you will. So, I mean, I think the Raiders are just in a tough spot. Obviously, I don't know what to do with the Broncos, but you got the Chiefs, of course, and the Chargers now with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So,
and my question is, where is the quarterback coming? Like, even if you are understanding Gardner Minshew's not the future quarterback, okay, well, next year's draft class has, you can keep Shedeur Sanders. We know Shedeur Sanders.
Well, that's what Emil's on.
Carson Beck.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, those guys might end up being great. They might be fantastic, but it's not the quarterback class that we saw this past season. And I think, I do think there's a lot of reports that they would have taken Penix at their pick if you were available. But the fact that they end up this offseason with no quarterback, and I say this almost being in a similar situation as a Vikings fan, where we were almost stuck with Sam Darnold being the quarterback for the season. I just don't think I just can't see where the path to, okay, we're going to the next level. Because his whole argument, the delusional Raider fan argument, was just they're going to make the playoffs. It was not they're going to make noise or anything like that, but it's this team is good enough to make the playoffs. And I could settle on that. I told him like 6 to 9 wins is the range where I would see them, and I could see them.
That's what they do forever, and that's why they haven't been able to take a quarterback. It's the same cycle.
Yep, exactly. And so that's just my question: is where is the next level coming from?
It's the same. It's been the same cycle with the Raiders, and they will be stuck in that 7-8 win range again.
Yeah, probably.
Coming up next, we continue the conversation and what the Kings should do with the pick. We give you some initial names to check out. We're all GMs now. This is our job.
Scouts too.
Okay? Anybody you've been looking at, a lot of people say, oh, we don't want to hear about the prospects or whatever. On this show, everybody's a GM.
Yep.
Hit us up, 916-339-1140. Anybody that you've seen, anybody
it
that
could just be one trait. It could be like he's got crazy long arms.
One highlight reel.
Yep.
We don't care. Your chance to be a GM, and we give you some names to check out as well. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Are you stressing about your IRS tax problems? Have you received notices from the IRS threatening to garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, or seize your property? You need an ally. Allies Tax Relief has tax attorneys and enrolled agents that are ready to fight for you. They have saved millions for taxpayers just like you. Allies Tax Relief can help put a stop to IRS collections and, most importantly, negotiate your tax debt. Here's Brenda, a happy client of Allies Tax Relief.
I owed the IRS around $57,000, and they're about to start garnishing my paychecks. I heard a commercial on the radio about Allies Tax Relief, so I thought I'd give them a call. After a day, they were able to at least stop the garnishments, and after a few months of negotiations, I walked away owing the IRS only $301.
If you owe the IRS, call Allies Tax Relief right now for your free consultation. Call 800-230-5174. 800-230-5174. That's 800-230-5174.
The 13th pick belongs to the Sacramento Kings.
Keegan Murray just sitting there, just hanging out.
He just gives a thumbs up.
I think he knows it's a shtick now.
He's got to know it's a shtick. I'm just curious how much he plays it up and how much it's almost like, good, I'm glad this is my shtick because I just don't ever want to.
Yeah, but also, you remember that golf picture? I think he knows it's part of it because he broke character in the golf picture.
I think in the post-game pictures, that's definitely a bit where he's just like straight up on the side of the pictures, not doing anything. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Keegan's actually hilarious.
I'm telling you, man.
Even if it's unintentionally, I would just think he's just a really funny guy to be around all the time.
Yeah, well, it is no laughing
Why are you
matter
laughing at me?
what's going on in New Orleans. This is from Mark Stein, Chris.
Ooh.
And it says, league sources say, this is him, quote, league sources say that Ingram's exit is increasingly viewed by various league observers as an inevitability.
Wow.
Rather than a possibility. A handful of Eastern Conference teams, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Atlanta, and Orlando, have already been mentioned as potential trade suitors for Ingram. Again, we can take this thing in 1,000 different in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Because you have the direction of Orlando, Atlanta, who honestly, we talk about you can be your own GM on this show. Atlanta, they could be going in 1,000 different directions.
They
have
the
no
trade
clue.
machine. Yes.
They literally have no clue what they want to do.
No.
And now they have the number one pick.
Yep.
And people are saying, oh, it doesn't matter. It's a bad draft. Atlanta, I have no clue what to do with that. But again, as Orlando's name continues to come up, that's another score.
That's right.
That's somebody that maybe who's higher on your list if you're Orlando? Trading for Brandon Ingram or signing Malik Monk? It's probably Brandon Ingram.
Probably Brandon Ingram. He's more of their fit, right? Like Orlando keeps getting these crazy long, versatile guys. And like if you can have a front line of Brandon Ingram, who's like 6'9" with crazy long wingspan, Banchero, who's 6'10", but looks like he's 7'2", Franz Wagner, 6'8", 6'9". You can just run those three out there. You're a monster team. If they keep Jonathan Isaac too, you're running those guys, those four out there. It doesn't matter who else you have out there. It's going to be tough for you. We talk about the Kings struggling with length. I think every team is struggling against that Orlando situation. And to tie it in as well, another angle that I noticed there, you listed about 4 or 5 teams. None of those were the Sacramento Kings, who I would think would be interested in that conversation. And not saying they aren't. It could just be that they aren't one of the teams that Mark Stein learned of. And those things definitely happen. But
it's still the King. I mean, the Kings are just a team that people are going to forget to mention.
That's also true. Absolutely.
So I don't know that doesn't mean the Kings are in on it. But, but the same thing we had spoken about as far as the Pelicans and the other suitors, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, a pick, whatever it is, they're going to get out. What this tells me is not that Brandon Ingram was a secret, but now that it's definitely not a secret, the Kings are going to get outbid.
Yeah, I would think so. Right. Yeah. Because even like Orlando can throw, I would think like Cole Anthony, they have some interesting role pieces. They have Jet Howard. They have a couple other young guys. Markelle Fultz, I think it might be heading towards free agency, but they have some guys that they can part with that make a little bit more sense for a team like New Orleans. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be tough. And then Philadelphia too. Philly, I know, has tons of cap space as well. I just feel like the Kings wouldn't win that. And you just got to hope Orlando does. I mean, because the thing is, if Orlando can knock themselves out of the bidding war before it even starts, obviously that's great for the Kings. And, San Antonio, they now have 2 top 10 picks. What are the odds that they take, a Robert Dillingham with with that number 4 pick or something like that?
You don't need Malik Monk again.
Need Malik Monk as much because you're developing. You're trying to build guys with Wemby instead of maybe trying to get Wemby in the playoffs right here, right now. Maybe you opt in to have Rob Dillingham get those minutes. Or a guy like Rob Dillingham or whoever they take at number 4 to get those minutes instead. Makes a lot more sense to me. So I would definitely hope, if you're the Kings, that as many of these trade rumors come out as possible, because this is also the point of the big fish list as well. Wasn't just to point out, here's number 1 option. It's the fact that there was 10 different options possible. And I didn't even list the Jeremy Grants, the Kyle Kuzmas, those other mid-tier trades. There's so many different options. It's okay if Brandon Ingram goes off the board early. It's okay if Kevin Durant gets moved off of Phoenix here pretty soon, because there is so many different options for the Kings to go to. So go ahead, Orlando. Feel free and knock yourselves out. Give up the farm for a year of Brandon Ingram potentially.
Right, and
the Kings maybe should too.
Right,
not the farm, but yeah.
Maybe as far as Malik Monk is concerned, maybe Orlando's trying to have the summer of their lives and get Brandon Ingram and Malik Monk.
Sure.
Or Brandon Ingram and Klay Thompson. They might not just be done after getting Brandon Ingram, depending on what they are planning on giving up for him. And then obviously Klay and Malik Monk, that's free agency.
Right.
So that has nothing to do with their trade situations. And, we've heard it's beautiful in Orlando this time of year.
Ask Bobby Marks.
Just ask Bobby Marks. Yeah. The Brandon Ingram thing, I like him. I think he's a really good player, and I would love for him to come to the Kings. As far as what I would give up for him, we know, Keegan, that's a non-starter.
Right.
It's just not happening. Anybody
Not
else?
for a year.
And
It's a year of Brandon Ingram.
It's a year with Brandon Ingram. I don't know anything about Brandon Ingram as far as
motivation.
do you want a big market? You were in LA. What I always say is if you don't have a podcast, there's a chance you like a small market.
Yeah.
Because
seems to make sense. Yeah.
You're not in the spotlight. I never hear anything about Brandon Ingram.
Trait for sure.
Yeah, I never hear anything about him. I don't know how he spends his
interests.
Time.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. Like, I can't tell you a single fact about Brandon Ingram. I don't know if he's signed to Nike. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's into shoes.
Yeah.
If I know things about PJ. I know more things about PJ Tucker than I know about Brandon Ingram. So to your point, I mean, that might mean he's a laid back, chill guy who might, he's played in New Orleans. He hasn't seemed super upset being there.
Well, remember that whole thing about getting the ball more?
Yeah, I mean, but the city of New Orleans, it hasn't seemed like being, I just want, to your point, get to a bigger market. I'm sure he would, of course, appreciate it. But, he also, when you're in a big market as early as he was in his career, you can kind of get put off by that, right? Like where it's like, like being a Laker as a rookie when he was on those baby Laker teams with Lonzo and Julius Randle. Yeah, they weren't good. There's a ton of pressure for them to, carry this Kobe torch in moving forward. He might be like, that's way too much pressure. That's way too much noise. And there's just way too many, like he might enjoy the obscurity that is New Orleans basketball or a version of it,
Coming up next, we have some names for you to start becoming a GM. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
And a handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sactown Sports.
My father was a career United States Air Force pilot, and Memorial Day is a reminder of all he and so many others did for our country. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Right now at the annual Memorial Day sale, everything in the store is on sale. Everything. You'll save 10 to 25% on all living rooms, to sofas, to sectionals, to dining rooms, to bedrooms, to home offices, and so much more. Everything is on sale right now at Naturewood Home Furnishings Memorial Day sale. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, it's all available for you at savings from 10 to 25% at Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishing, off Highway 50 in Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The countdown to Miss Twin Peaks 2024 is on. Head over to MissTwinPeaks2024.com to learn about the contest and cast your 5 votes for your favorite Twin Peaks girl.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, and other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-934-9217. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-934-9217 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sacktown Sports.
As we get into some names here from The Ringer, ESPN, and Yahoo as well, and they all have different people, Chris. Devin Carter,
get ready,
who is kind of a defensive guy. That is from friend of the show, Kevin O'Connor. Okay, Jacoby Walter. He is from Baylor, and that is who ESPN has. And then you have, and help me out here, Chris, from France.
Yeah.
Yahoo Sports. Is it?
No idea.
Tijane Salon?
That seems right. That's how it's spelled out, at least.
And he's from France.
Yeah, and that could
he's
definitely
probably
be
7 foot.
He's probably 7 feet tall, if I had to guess. I know he's listed as a forward, but he's probably like a very long, crazy wing who can probably not shoot, but is probably a crazy athlete.
He's 6'9". And you know the rule here.
That's right. What is it, 6'7" and up?
I think we said, I think it kept getting taller. At first I said 6'5".
Let's see.
And then we're now at 6'7". The Kings are not allowed to draft anybody under 6'7".
Yeah.
That's our rule.
It's it'll be interesting, kind of like you alluded to, just how different all of these things are going to look as the weeks go on. Scouts get information on reporters get information on how GMs are feeling about prospects and things like that. Things will change dramatically. I just, to me, it's one of those where, I just went through this with the NFL draft or with mock drafts. Especially when it comes to the Kings, if they don't have a forward, I'm just disregarding the mock. I just can't see them taking a guard. I know, I hate to sound like the commenters of my free agency list, but I just don't think that's really the need. And not saying Monty McNair hasn't done that before. I mean, that was the Davion Mitchell pick. They had just taken Tyrese Halliburton in the draft. They obviously had De'Aaron Fox, and then for Monty McNair to use a top 10 pick on Davion Mitchell felt like it didn't make a ton of sense. And I think it would feel similarly this year. If you're going to take a guard who really doesn't have much of a chance to play forward, that just wouldn't really make sense to me. So pretty much every mock draft that I see that doesn't have a guy that can at the very least slide to small forward, I just can't look at, because I just think that's clearly where the Kings need to improve, is just getting these long wings. And if you are going to keep the pick, to me, drafting one of those guys just makes the most sense.
Well, and this is Kevin O'Connor, who we don't know if he's a double agent, if he actually wants the Kings to succeed or not, because from the Ringer, and I'm completely out on this, and it's not about the player, it's just about the need. This Devin Carter, who is supposed to be, we were reading yesterday, Chris.
Yeah.
Devin Carter is supposed to be a defensive specialist from Providence. He was at South Carolina and then went to Providence. They're hoping that he develops a 3-point shot. So let me get this straight. We got a 6'3" guard who can't shoot. He's got defensive prowess.
Right.
And the Kings are going to take another guard when they're stuck with Davion Mitchell right now. They still have Kevin Huerter on the roster. And now you just added Keon Ellis and you got Colby Jones in the G League, and they're going to take a 6'3" guard. What are we talking about?
And isn't this the same guy that you said they compare
to
Keon
Ellis? So he's a shorter Keon Ellis who can't shoot as well. Where do I sign? What are we talking about? I'm out on that.
Yeah.
I'm looking him up here, Chris. Jacoby Walter. Thank you. Having a good time at Baylor.
Yeah.
Still dealing with Davion Mitchell. I'm out. He's 6'5". I'm out. I'm out on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. He's one where he's the most popular mock draft guy you will see for the Kings.
Yeah.
Is Jacoby Walter. So that's where I'm most curious to see, like, how does this kind of pick specifically shift, because to that point, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. The read up I'm reading on from Jonathan Gavoni of ESPN is a movement shooter such as Walter, who can run off screens and bring high level intensity defensively, makes plenty of sense. He also has plenty of upside growing into a 19-year-old body. That just doesn't really, I mean, the movement shooter part sounds maybe like, and here's the thing too, maybe these are assuming Malik Monk isn't staying.
Yeah, I when you said movement shooter, I thought Kevin Huerter.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, if they have maybe if Kevin Huerter is part of a trade, that maybe makes more sense. But as the Kings are currently constructed, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to look at guard. And just in general, I mean, I think that, you have Colby Jones, who I think we are all excited to see what he has in year 2. You're going to have one of Malik or Kevin Huerter back, I would assume. So you already have 3 shooting guards in Keon, Huerter, Monk, and Colby Jones. I just think that that's already good at that position. And then if you can have Monk and Huerter, I mean, you're stacked at that position. So I just don't think guard, and Davion's obviously staying as well unless he's traded. I just think you're good at the guard position. I think stack up as many of these forwards as you could get. Help out Keegan Murray. If you can find a Harrison Barnes replacement or someone who can split minutes with HB, that's great. If you can find a somebody who allows Trey Lyles to now play more backup center, I think that's really the position that would help the Kings the most. So, they also have a 2nd-round pick as well. We don't know what they're going to do with that. That'll be interesting to see if you can find an impact player at 45. But, it's an interesting opportunity and kind of an interesting situation where the Kings can, really do whatever they want with this pick. They can make it. They can take a high potential player. They can take a ready now player, or like Dave is apparently adamant about. He was really, really convicted by his thoughts of trading that pick. So I think there's a lot of people out there who are just going to blanket say, doesn't matter who's at that pick, just trade it and get a guy who's actually going to help this team right now.
Ryan Russillo said one team's analytics department believes this draft class is viewed as starting off with the number 7 or number 8 overall pick in a normal year. Oof. The 2024 class is viewed around the association as one of the worst in 25 years. Okay. One of the worst in 25 years. Yeah. I saw somebody, because the Warriors don't have their 14th pick.
Right.
And I saw somebody, just trying to, somebody said it wasn't a good situation for the Warriors. And somebody said, I mean, if there's a draft to not have a pick.
Right. Exactly.
Now watch Portland take the 14th pick, and that
exactly they take Giannis.
He ends up being
Giannis
a stud.
2.0.
That's what's going to happen. All these guys are not going to stink.
Absolutely not. There's no way.
Just make sure you don't pick one of the stinkers.
Right. Exactly.
That's your job.
Or to your point, just opt out.
Or just
opt
out.
Yep. Just say, you know what? We'll take whatever, a 6, maybe a fringe starter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's definitely value in that 13th pick if they just want to leverage it into something. I mean, you could take on a salary if you want. There's a lot that the Kings can do with that number 13 pick, and I'm excited to find out, because it does really open up a lot of possibilities. And here's the thing too, as teams start to get deeper and deeper into their scouting process, certain teams are going to fall in love with guys, and the Kings could take advantage of that. If there's a guy that ends up dropping at number 13, you see it all the time in the NFL draft, teams will get excited and trade up, and the Kings can really, kind of backload some of their assets and cash in on that number 13. I think there's a lot they can do. And I just think it's going to make the team better regardless of what happens. Cause I just don't think, I really think the lowest possibility is them just taking a swing for the fence, high potential guy who's really raw.
Speaking of high potential, and I guess high perceived potential, the measurements are in.
Oh,
Bronny James official measurements. Okay. He is 6'1.5. Okay. And he's 210.
210's big for sure. For a guard, I think that's for a 6'1" guard.
We had that Austin Rivers conversation. Yeah. It sounds like a running back. It sounds like a running back. And so you have, first of all, know what I just said. So he's off my list.
Yeah.
And I hate to sound like I'm on a dating app here, but got to be 6'5" and up.
Yep.
So I'm swiping left or right. I don't know which way it is, but 6'1",
and that's at best like 6. 6'3" in shoes at best. At best.
If you're getting 2 inches in shoes, what type of
heels?
Give me the
Well,
shoes.
kitten heel, yeah.
What's the name of them?
His dad's making shoes, so I'm sure he can throw some lifts in there.
Is there Dr. Scholl's in there? Got some Dr. Scholl's in there.
Dr. Braun.
6'1".
Yeah. That's
210.
small. You have to.
That's Davion Mitchell. He's Davion Mitchell. He's literally Davion Mitchell.
I don't think Davion was even listed as 6. Let's see. Davion, weight-wise, is listed at 205. Davion's listed at 6'2", 205. So we'll see what his combine measurements were.
He's literally we're talking about Davion Mitchell. That's brawny.
Davion Mitchell's let's see here. Oh man. Let's see. Sorry. As I try and find, where is he? I just saw it. Oh man, it just escaped me.
916. Should the Kings go after Zach Edey? In my opinion, they need a backup center when they face larger size teams. Edey is a beast as a rim protector.
There he is.
Why not emulate what the Spurs had with David Robinson and Tim Duncan? I just don't like Edey's. I know he fits the height requirement, but I don't know that I love his ceiling. What you got, Chris?
He is so in shoes. Davion is 6'1".
How did he get shorter?
He's 6 foot flat without shoes. He's 6'1".
You wear shoes at the combine, or you probably take them off, right?
They do both measurements. They do measurement without shoes and measurement with shoes.
So this was Bronny's measurement without shoes, 6'1.5. 6'1.5".
Bronny.
So he's about as tall as
over
Davion
here.
is with shoes. And he's Davion was listed at 202. So maybe 210. I mean, 210 is pretty good. He's a freshman too.
I'm not.
Davion came out.
I'm not interested.
Davion came out as a senior, I think, or junior.
I don't even think Bronny is tall enough to be the Bachelor. I'm serious.
The height is definitely concerning.
That's crazy.
That's the worst part for him for sure, because he almost had to be like a 6'4" guard.
Yeah.
Like
I've seen there's definitely been pictures where they say Bryce is 6'6" and Bronny is 6'3".
Yeah, Bryce is probably a legit 6'5" for sure.
It was all a lie.
If Bronny's 6'1", I mean, he has to play point guard. I'm just trying to think of like
You got to be a knockdown.
Who would the
shooter.
player model even be? I don't even, because I don't know if he's listed his wingspan yet, because like that's the thing that makes GP2
CP3
able to play. Like I don't know.
Is he CP3?
I think CP's way smaller. I don't know if CP's even 6 feet.
Well, he's not taller than Jake from State Farm. Jake is a
Exotic
Jake looks like a
I
hooper.
can't with Jake.
Jake looks like a hooper to me.
I was watching the Caitlin Clark documentary, or the women's basketball full court press, and they showed Jake from State Farm being the first person to hug Caitlin Clark.
I saw
after.
a joke about
it. Drives
that.
me. I'm just like, who is this man, bro? Where did this guy come from?
What is the problem?
Like,
it's Jake.
Who is Jake from
Somebody
State
loves
Farm?
Jake.
I just mean, where's Flo at? Like, where's all these? Why is Jake all of a
Competitor.
sudden
She's
popping?
a competitor.
Yeah.
She's the ops.
Also, like, did this fool sign his life over?
I would have.
Yeah.
Is he? Because his name probably isn't actually Jake.
It is now.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. So, like, and I know there's like Kool-Aid McHistory, but like, do I need to name my kid Subway growing up? Like, do I need to think about his NIL
That's
when I'm what is going on?
I'm telling you. Are you
happening?
interested in Bronny? The
No,
measurements
no,
are in.
No thanks.
Does it include?
He has a
his
6'7"
father?
wingspan. That's not bad.
What's Davion's? I'm
Uh,
sure it's similar.
I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. Davion's got I don't want to disrespect his wingspan, but his wingspan it's not very big. His wingspan, Davion, is 6'4". So yeah,
I'm out
Bronny
on
is
both.
6'1". 6'7's pretty decent.
But let's not forget Davion.
It's not crazy. It's not like freakish.
Davion
6'7".
cooked in the national championship.
Yes, absolutely.
That
Oh
whole
no, I'm
run.
not comparing those two at all.
So
as players,
you have a similar guy. You have a similar guy to Davion with less cachet from college, but we know who his pops is. Are you interested?
You're buying the tools for Bronny. That's the difference. And Bronny's a second round pick. Davion was a top 10 pick.
I'm out. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Harrison Barnes is Sacktown Sports.
He's got the bucket at the buzzer. Harrison Barnes.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Harrison Barnes, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
If you're looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance, we're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. Prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Call Term Provider at 800-337-4168. 800-337-4168.
At Progressive, we know how much you love your recreational vehicles, so we decided to record this commercial in an RV.
With a family on vacation.
Mom, who are these people? Oh, that's Flo and Jamie. They're recording a commercial, sweetie. Don't they do that in the studio?
Normally.
No.
But we wanted to feature a family who bundled their home and RV and saved with Progressive.
Yeah, it looks like you're all out of chips.
Okay, I think we'll just drop you off at the next gas station.
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Kevin Lewis with National Garage Door, reminding you that in Sacramento, National Garage Door is the king of garage doors. We service, sell, and install garage doors and openers. Call us today for your basketball special. A new 16x7 Rainer garage door with insulation and a belt drive opener for only $24.49 installed. Give us a call today, 916-638-4554.
638-4554 National Garage Door.
I'm Craig Ashton of the injury law firm of Ashton and Price. Whether you've been injured on a bicycle, as a pedestrian in a slip and fall, auto, Uber, Lyft, or big rig accident, you need Ashton and Price in your corner. When you call Ashton and Price, there's no chatbot telling you to hit 3 for accounting. You're greeted by a real live person who will immediately transfer you to an experienced attorney. The consultation's free, and there's never a fee until you win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost, or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or
listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
916 asking about Zach Edey. We have here some numbers. There was a 3/4 court sprint. Zach Edey was 5th on that list. He beat out the other big man who they faced off in the NCAA championship, Donovan Clingan. He beat him out in that race, the two big boys. And yeah, 916 says ESPN has him going 14th in the draft. I don't want Zach Edey. I don't. I know he meets the height requirement, but I mean, what is Zach Edey gonna offensively? He's not a shooter, obviously. He's really throwback, okay? And on top of that, defensively, he gets switched on guards. He's getting cooked.
It's over. Yeah, he's not Rudy Gobert. He's like, I mean, yeah, let me see what he last season at the combine, which Zach Edey participated in and then later pulled out. He weighed 306 pounds, which is, let's see, the next highest weight is 257.
He's a big boy.
So it's more just like he's not going to be able to move that well. Like, I mean, he's not Shaquille O'Neal in terms of athleticism. Shaq was like an athletic freak. And even then, Shaq was laboring down the court quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's just no way. Like, yeah, if Steph gets switched on him, if Tyrese Maxey gets switched on him, it's over. Like, we can, like, Boban's in better shape than he is. Boban's honestly in really good shape, and he can't get on the floor. Edey's not a passer. He's a decent scorer. He's got good touch, but nobody's running post-ups.
Yeah.
Nobody is running post-ups for him more than 2 to 3 times a game. Maybe he can come in off the bench and do that. But in terms of being a starting center, I mean, he would have to, in my opinion, he would have to massively change his body in order for him to even remotely be considered, just because of the amount of wear and tear it's going to take on his body. I don't think this guy is going to be, who's a really big guy who, I can't see his body holding up for that long. And I just don't think he's a freakish athlete, which I think you have to be if you're going to be that big.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the direction the league is going in. I'm not touching. I'm not doing that at 13.
No, especially not at 13. No, this is like maybe a high second round pick at best for me. There's no way. I mean, maybe if you're in the late first and you're Milwaukee or something, or Denver, who knows? Denver can take a risk like this, but if you actually need rotational players, you can't. I'm sorry. I don't think you can. I hate to use this word, but waste a pick on Zach Edey. I just think that it makes a lot more sense to take a guy like that later.
Well, there's no, what's the ceiling, right?
That's my question. He's not. Yeah, I can't see any world in which Zach Edey is Wilt Chamberlain for this league. Like, that's the only, not that it has to be that, but I just think he's not so physically dominant or imposing that he's just going to dominate anyone who's in front of him. I think that, I think the league is really, really talented, and there's people who can really make Zach Edey have a bad time, especially, switching defensively would be an absolute nightmare. But even just one-on-one guarding his own position, I'm not confident he can do that all the time.
Yeah, if you're going to take a chance, and this is the draft to take chances. If I'm going to miss, I'm at least going to miss for somebody with a high ceiling that might just, the potential is crazy, and maybe they never get there. If you're going to take a chance, I think the thing with Zach Edey is, what is it? What would it be considered? A low ceiling? Would you say low ceiling, high floor?
Yeah, I guess, because you're pretty much betting on the guy he is now. And like, I'm just trying to think of who the player molds are. Like Jonas Valanciunas, I guess, like a bigger Jonas Valanciunas.
Does he have a midi like Jonas?
That's a great question. Not nearly as reliable.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like that is the ceiling that you're maybe banking on, but he's not going to be Jokic. It's not like this is an example of, oh yeah, look at Jokic. He's in the same way we see, all of these player models coming in. This is a Jokic player. No, like you said, this dude's not a crazy passer or anything like that.
Right.
That would actually have me intrigued. If he were getting double teamed and then, going behind the back and finding the open man, then we can start to have a conversation. But he's just a really big guy in a league or in a college system that doesn't have a lot of really imposing 7'3" big men. So, I just think he kind of cooked on smaller opponents, and not that won't be the case in the NBA sometimes, but I just don't think it's going to be good enough to justify the 13th pick.
What happens is we talk about trends, right? And where the league tends to go in directions he tends to go. If you look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now, who currently has a Zach Edey type player in their rotation?
Great point. Nobody. I mean,
and someone's going to say Gobert, but he's not Gobert.
No, he's not Gobert. Gobert is sticks and stones. I mean, he's at least able to, have crazy long arms, but he's mobile enough to get there and to keep up with faster people. And I just don't see it with Edey. I mean, I think maybe it could just be a beauty in the eye of the beholder thing. I just don't see it with him. I'm sure. And the thing is, he's going to absolutely cook in summer league, and he's going to cook the G League. He'll probably be a G League MVP, guys. But in the NBA, it's a 4A situation, right? This is a classic where this guy is really good. I'm not saying he's not talented. It's almost like Frank Mason, here in Sacramento, we saw Frank Mason get picked, I think 32nd in the draft. And he was great. He won G League MVP, as a matter of fact, with the Wisconsin Herd. And he was really good when he was in the Kings G League. But when he got to the NBA, it couldn't translate. He was too small. He couldn't finish at the rim. And I know that's almost polar opposites, where I'm talking about Frank Mason, who's barely scratching 5'10", and Zach Edey, who's 7'3". But
Bronny.
I'm more just saying, I think that there's a limit to the caliber of play in which Zach Edey can dominate at. And in the NBA, honestly, it's going to be a matter of Zach Edey. If he's not dominant, then I don't know how you can justify everything else that's going to come with him being your big man out there.
Beams or Beamley is saying Zubac.
Zubac is really big, but I would say Zubac isn't as big as Edey, and ipso facto, he's not as slow as Edey. Because I think speed is really the thing that has most to do with this. And I guess you were telling me some of the speed numbers were actually faster than Klingon, right?
Yeah.
So, that could be where I'm proven wrong, is maybe I'm underestimating how his speed is going to translate. I would tell you, I don't really believe Klingon's going to be a very good pro.
Right. But it's what, 0.3 of a second, and how often is your big man just sprinting down the court, right? I care more about quickness.
Right. Yeah. Side to side. How is he? Yeah. How
and those numbers will come out soon too.
Absolutely. Yeah. The
right.
lateral movement.
From Kings fan on the Sack Chat, none of us know how the guys will turn out as our pick. No. We all need to trust in the professional scouts and front office the Kings have. Where's the fun in that, Kings fan?
Well, I mean, you can still form your own thoughts and opinions.
That's not fun.
I mean, I'm not.
This is your chance to be a GM.
It's just you
know better than Monty McNair.
Elaborate on the tools that you like or don't like.
Yeah,
that's all that this whole process is. You can say you're right or wrong, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's people who, Anthony Bennett was the number 1 pick, and he could barely. Score
These scouts
in the
are
NBA.
wrong all the time.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just about finding what you like, and then figuring out if what you like is good enough to give them a role in the end. Because honestly, especially with what you just read, like, this draft essentially is the worst in pretty much, since the 2000s or since the 90s. It's just about getting somebody who can play at this point is what it sounds like in this draft. So if you find somebody that you think is toolsy and you really like that tool, and you think that tool is a sharp enough tool to bring to the league, that's the kind of thing that you're looking for in this draft, I guess.
You have an opportunity right now to know better than the front office.
That's right.
Because you know what?
That's right.
Teams miss all the time. You hope that the Kings don't miss this time. Now, can you really miss when it's a draft where it's not supposed to be very good anyway? But to the point of the 916 on the text line, we can't trust the scouts. We passed on Luka. We passed on Klay Thompson. So if there is a team where you can at least pretend in your mind that is good at them, it's probably the team that's missed on a good amount of picks. Have some fun with this. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SacktownSports.com.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com.
Hi, it's Brian from Bennett's Restaurants. Springtime is a fun time, so to celebrate, we created a new menu of our favorites from Baja. Plenty of new food. Enjoy grilled skirt steak, wild prawns with pineapple, fresh sea bass, and Sonoran beef enchiladas, to mention a few. Try our empanadas stuffed with carnitas and cheese. Love shrimp? Try the new shrimp tostada. We make great guacamole and salsa too. Enjoy our newest dessert, Kylie's Churros, with a vanilla cream center. Visit Bennett'sRestaurants.com and come enjoy the new Baja menu today. Eat well, stay well.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com. Winter's gone, so there's no excuses for missing out on Sacramento's premier country festival, Country in the Park. It's this Friday and Saturday. Don't miss your chance to see
Bradley Gilbert, Dustin Letts, Jake Owen, Walker Hayes,
Brian Kelly,
Drew Baldridge,
Brian Martin,
Michael Ray,
Ingrid Andress, Priscilla Block,
Chase Matthew.
Tickets are only $46 per day. Buy your tickets now at CITPFest.com. That's CITPFest.com. Or take your chances at the gate. Brought to you by Junior Restaurant and Lounge, Gurnick Academy, and Fieldhouse American Sports Pub.
So here's a fact. 85% of the population will suffer from foot pain in their lifetime. That's almost everyone. So you'd think there'd be plenty of healthy long-term remedies, but there just aren't, right? Hi, I'm Dan from the Good Feet store. You know, people come in all the time sharing the same frustrating story. Bought this, tried that, been there, done whatever, all different kinds of things, but all with a similar result. Nothing. A discouraging and endless cycle of disappointment. If this rings a bell, don't despair. There is hope. If you think you've tried everything, you probably haven't tried Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet store. They're designed to relieve, even eliminate, the pain commonly caused by certain foot conditions like plantar fasciitis, bunions, flat feet, and others. Plus, provide better balance and increased comfort.
Do you have sore feet, an aching back, or plantar fasciitis? Then get to the Good Feet store nearest you for your free arch support fitting. Good Feet arch supports are only available at the Good Feet store.
Maida Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT 5.3 liter in stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from.
Exclusive, all in-stock pricing at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details and 6324.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
No look, Bibby to Weber, down the lane, flying jam. There's your play of the night right there. It's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sacktown Sports.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
The Chicago Bulls are still looking to compete. This is per Michael Scotto. Next season and aim to re-sign DeMar DeRozan. If that was a name that interested you, the Chicago Bulls, another team, not really sure what their plan is, but per Mike Scotto, the belief around the league is DeRozan will ultimately re-sign with the Bulls, given the team's continued desire to compete, his role, and Chicago's willingness to pay him. So DeRozan, yes. Zach LaVine, no. Is that what we're doing in Chicago? Caruso. So we got to go through this whole thing again next season when Chicago is the 9 seed and it's trade season, and we're gonna have to continue having this conversation on players on the Bulls that will never ever get moved. You know, Chris, as I'm watching here, and I love all of this. We talk about hope and the hopium on this show. Now I'm seeing videos. People are sending me videos during the break, and it's Zach Edey making threes, making it rain from 3-ball land. Alan, Chris, don't sleep on his 3-ball, okay? Don't sleep on it. He's excited. He says he's excited to show people that he can shoot the 3-ball.
Sure.
Now are we talking, is he Brook Lopez now?
No, he's not.
Okay.
That's not how it works.
I think he is now. Now he's Brook Lopez.
No. I mean,
Chris, I saw him make 3 threes. He's Brook
Alan,
Lopez to me.
We
now.
talk about this all the time. In the pre-games, we see JaVale McGee splashing 3 balls.
And he should take more too.
Alex Len splashing 3 balls.
Keep taking
We used to see Rashawn Holmes with his weird jump shot where it's like, it looks like he dislocated his shoulder or something. Shout out Jung Hoo Lee. Like he's cashing threes.
Come
like,
on.
Just because all of these guys are crazy, ridiculously talented. And during the summer, you will see, we saw Sabonis knocking down threes with lethal shooter. Now, granted, he's a 40% 3-point shooter nowadays, but I just think that, this is what pros do. They knock down open looks, and even Zach Edey will look good in an empty gym shooting threes. It doesn't mean it's going to translate to the league.
I think I'm in now.
Yeah. I like Zach Edey for you. It makes sense. Like,
I saw him make some threes, man.
Yeah. You can just bring up he cooked. I mean, and the thing is, like, if you watch the tape, sure, he absolutely did dominate the competition 100%. He was Purdue's Caitlin Clark almost in a way where they just fed him and were like, the only way we're going to win these games is if Zach Edey is the best player on the floor and then some. But, I can't see it translating to the league. I think he's going to be a fun player to follow, but yeah, I can't get there. I can't get there. Even if he's knocking down threes, it doesn't change the fact that he's not going to be running very fast. And, I'm looking at it here, not to bring up the weight again, but I am looking, and I'm at 2012 right now, and I have not found a player who weighed in at the combine as much as Zach Edey has. So we're really looking at like a historically big guy here.
I'm telling you right now,
DeMarcus Cousins weighed in at 291.
Hold on.
Which is kind of crazy.
Hold on. Zach Edey, his Purdue career, shot 50% from 3.
How many did he take? 2?
2.
Yeah, there you go.
He made 1, he missed 1.
There you go.
But now he's going to the NBA.
I mean,
he's shoot threes now.
He's going to. I guarantee he's going to start shooting 3 because everyone's going to tell him, hey, Brook Lopez. Everyone's going to say, "Hey, Zach, if you can shoot threes, like someone will sign you. Someone will get interested in you." And whatever. I mean, that's his path. His path to the NBA, being an NBA player, is being an offensive weapon because defensively, he's going to be a liability unless he's just standing in the middle of the paint, blocking and deterring shots. I'm not saying the half court off or defense doesn't make sense. I understand putting a 7'5" goalie right in front of the rim, things are going to happen, but you start getting that man in motion defensively, it's a wrap. So he's going to get played off the floor. He's got to be able to justify staying on the floor by being ridiculous on offense. And he's not going to be able to do that if he's just posting people up and taking 12 seconds out of the shot clock every time.
From the 916, Rudy Gobert has clips of him hitting threes. In the words of Stiles, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
You can't, what are we doing here to me?
No, right. What are we doing
Nicely
here?
done.
It's a great question.
916.
What are we doing here?
Chris, I did have this thought as we went to break. And as we talk about some people saying, hey, we got to trust the front office, and some people saying, why would we trust the front office? 916-339-1140. Do you trust a Kings front office? Just period. That's it. Very simple question. Do you trust the Kings front office? Should you? Is there any reason to believe the Kings front office?
Or not? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I trust Monty and Wes. I definitely think they've done a really good job. I know a lot of people are frustrated with them, just their lack of activity, but I think the moves they have done have all been really good moves. Obviously the Sabonis Halliburton trade is definitely polarizing, but at the end of the day, he didn't trade Tyrese Halliburton for Ben Simmons, regardless of if he would have or not. He didn't. So, he could have traded that. There could have been a world where the Kings traded Halliburton and quite literally got nothing. So the fact that they get a guy who has played 82 games for them, has won, or has gotten tons of double doubles, broken all these awards, I think that's a huge win. Davion, you look at that draft, people who were picked after Davion, I know like Şengün and people like that. Some Kings fans are really excited about him. I just didn't think it made a lot of sense with how the team was organized, but you could argue Davion's a bad pick. Tyrese Halliburton, great pick. I just, bringing in Malik Monk, trading for Kevin Huerter, I think all of these things have worked out. I trust them. I trust them until they start to do things that seem irrational. And at the very least, every move they've made, like I've said with even the Tristan Thompson one made some sense. You can justify. Everything has been pretty sensible that they've done. So I trust that they will make, at the very least, a calculated move. It's not going to be something that's just rash and a bit like you have to squint your eyes a bit to make it make sense for you. At the very least, I feel safe, I think is more what I'm projecting. It's not necessarily that I trust they're going to make the right decision, but I trust that if they do make a decision, it's going to be one that they've thought out and have a lot of fail safes for, and have done almost like on draft nights, people will do worst case scenario drafts and things like that. I think I would like to believe that Monty McNair and his crew will definitely do the same kind of thing if they do decide to make any move.
Well, because I'm looking here.
That's how I feel, though. And I could understand how people would be not looking at things so brightly as that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the other teams, right? And it's based on if you're out of the playoffs, if you're still in the playoffs, and all of this matters from season to season. I think everybody would say that they trust the management in the front office last season,
year, right? Exactly.
When they're the 3 seed. But now, and we can go in the West, right? Yes, obviously, Thunder fans trust their front office. Yes, Nuggets fans.
Yeah.
Yes, Timberwolves fans. I'd say yes, Clippers fans.
But to your point of the winning versus losing, did Timberwolves fans trust their GM last year when they gave up everything for Gobert? Right. Yeah, exactly.
So basically they flip-flopped Kings and
possibly,
Timberwolves.
Yeah, exactly.
Mavericks, I would say yes, especially with PJ Washington. Yeah. They're going to get, they're going to get all the praise for making a move like that. The Suns,
I don't think so.
I mean, you got talent
those
in the
are
building.
Rash decisions.
Right.
They just said, no, let's get Kevin Durant. Forget everything. Let's go get Bradley Beal. Forget Durant. And it's like that.
But at the time, everybody said,
sure,
look what they did. Look what they pulled off. I don't know if that was the right move. And now we have some sound on Kevin Durant. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. He's happy or he's not happy again. Okay. Pelicans, I think I would trust their front office. I mean,
it's not their fault. Zion's always hurt.
Right.
The worst time.
And it's not even, it's less about Zion to me. You get, trade, look at the talent in the building.
Yeah.
Totally. Jose Alvarado, just annoying people at all times. The Lakers, no, I don't trust that front office.
No.
It's a mess.
No. How is Rob Pelinka the only person who's kept his job? How does this make any sense?
He must be a really nice person.
No, he must. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it. But yes, no, absolutely. Like, what's it going to take for Rob Pelinka to start getting some heat? At some point
He's untouchable.
Like, this man brought back Rui Hachimura.
Yeah.
He brought back D'Angelo Russell and then didn't trade him when the whole point of signing him was to trade him just because he had a good month. If anything, just cash in the chips, man.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, I definitely would not trust Rob Pelinka. But I'm sure Laker fans do. I'm sure they do because he was Kobe's agent.
Text coming in. I'd rather much have thoughtful management that plays the long game rather than a series of, like we said, just kind of quick reaction, very reactionary and picks that look flashy. That's from the 916 and another one from the 916. No trust in the front office after they made no trade at the deadline this past season. We spend no money over the salary cap as other teams go $50 million over the cap. We are going to lose on Fox's window of opportunity and health. We are in year 8 of Fox being here. Yeah. And we will get into De'Aaron Fox more at noon as far as what is the path for De'Aaron Fox. But I think 916 makes a good point.
I think that's the perfect way of saying it, because I think we're
years.
saying the same thing. It's just, I think, different emotions for it, right? Like those two texts back to back, especially one is saying, I would much rather have a GM look out for the long term and wait things out, while another person is saying, I don't want someone to wait things out. That's how you end up doing nothing. I would much rather do a Dallas situation where, hey, at least you're making moves, and if it doesn't work out, figure it out again. Like there's always another move to make. Some people can thrive in chaos. Some people just like to feel comfortable and to feel like the decisions they made are justified and have ration behind it. I think it's just beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I think it's just a matter of how you want your team to be ran. And I think we can say or experience and understand the same thing, but still go about it or feel two completely different ways about it.
Yeah. Trust is a very interesting word.
Yeah.
I think you trust them to make moves, but will they be the right moves? Will it be enough?
Yeah.
Right. I think everybody feels
because they have made moves. They traded for Chris Duarte.
Yes.
It's just they cut everybody and signed JaVale McGee. It's just, those moves haven't really worked out.
Right.
Not all of them have worked out amazingly.
You trust them to put out a competitive product, but do you trust them to get into the championship conversation and what that costs? I mean, it's not easy. There can only be one. When we return, a superstar isn't happy again. Do you want this headache in Sacramento? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
They're going to give it. No, it's a play action. Purdy going to roll left, throw for the end zone. Caught by George Kittle. He has the hat trick tonight, a career high. 3 touchdown catches for George. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you one of the nearly 10 million families that own a timeshare? Unfortunately, many families stuck in timeshares have learned the dark side of ownership, as their timeshare ends up being nothing like they were promised. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you were lied to when buying a timeshare, you're going to need help. I know this because I once worked as a timeshare salesman, but quit the business and made it my personal mission to help folks get rid of bad timeshares. That's why I put together a timeshare exit information kit to help you understand how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Over 30,000 families have trusted us to get rid of their timeshares. Many started out by simply calling us for the free information kit and are now timeshare free.
To get your free information kit, call Wesley Financial now. Call 800-837-1919. That's 800-837-1919. 800-837-1919.
This segment is brought to you by Aztec Solar. Skip the sales pitch. Calculate your solar savings at yourpowersavings.com.
Pass the ball with a turnover. Nice Denver D. Porter at the other end. And he tries and he gets it to go. Beating the clock. Quadlink. That's intercepted. Murray good at the goal. Got it. Big time three.
Ridiculous by Jamal Murray. And that Nuggets team, look, we've gone back and forth with this Nuggets team. I've definitely undersold them. I thought they were cooked. I think a lot of people thought they were cooked. And Whitey had that information about the last time a team lost the first 2 games at home and then went on to win the series. It was Clippers Mavs back in 2021. And now they're back 2-2.
Right.
And the momentum is shifting. And you got Anthony Edwards still talking trash while they're losing, which is funny because we had anointed Anthony Edwards. He has arrived. He is Michael Jordan. And now they're 2-2. And the Nuggets are proving that they really are about this life, and you're never going to hold down a champion. There's some good series going on. I mean, it's sad that the Kings aren't in the playoffs, but there's some really good series. Knicks Pacers, all of a sudden the Pacers look like world beaters. What's going to happen when they go back to New York? Which way's that whistle? going to go. And, you just got a bunch of teams here with opportunities. You talked about Nuggets already. Mavs.
Yep.
Mavs are starting to show the Thunder that maybe you're a year away. It's not going to be this year for you. And the Celtics Cavs, which is probably the least exciting one out of the bunch.
I think so. I haven't been a big fan of Celtics Cavs. I know the Cavs had the big game, and I know it's been more competitive of a series than I would have thought. I thought Cleveland honestly would have gotten swept and not even thought twice about it. But Donovan Mitchell's played great. He's been ridiculous for them scoring the ball, and we'll see if they can try and even it up tonight. But I think the series that surprised me the most, like you just said, is that Dallas series. I picked Dallas to win before the series happened. I thought OKC. OKC's put up a really good fight so far. It's just, and I don't think that series is anywhere close to over. I wouldn't be surprised if OKC wins tonight and maybe closes it out in 5. But I'm sorry, they wouldn't be able to close it out in 6, and just run the rest of the table. But Dallas is an interesting team where it feels like, if PJ is going to stay hot, if Kyrie is going to be at a level, if Luka's going to, we don't know. I don't know what's going on with the knee injury. It's game to game, it's quarter to quarter, it's play to play. But if he's going to be healthy enough, that just feels like a team that can be annoying. I don't know if they'll be able to beat whoever comes out of Denver and Minnesota, but that just feels like a team that you just don't want to play. And that would make me nervous, especially more so if I am a team like Minnesota where, you get past this series and then you're in uncharted waters for yourself. I mean, Dallas has at least been there before, not necessarily with that group, but Minnesota, the further and further they go, you're kind of already seeing up 2-0 in that series heading home, and then having that go 2-2, a little bit of that inexperience is starting to show a bit. I'm very intrigued to see what happens in the West.
Yeah, and, for the Thunder, a lot of these teams, and you develop an identity throughout the course of the season. Yes, they are extremely young, but the Thunder, what is your identity, right? You have a bunch of long players. Chet Holmgren, who is kind of a unicorn, but does some classic center things.
What a pro.
Oh, enough.
That's their identity.
That's their
honestly,
identity.
100%.
It's Shea Go. Now, all of a sudden, Jalen Williams, who we'll talk about Jalen Williams' little brother, who is on a couple different mock drafts going to the Kings, Cody Williams. But I'm just not sure that I think the Thunder need another year here. This is what we're learning to just figure out who they are going to be. Going back to that conversation about the front office, whether you trust them or not, Chris, somebody had said from the 916, hey, I want them to play the long game. I would prefer that. The 925 says we've been playing the long game for 20 years.
Yeah.
Let's get something done. Well, is this what you want, 925? Because it sounds like Mr. Durant, #Durantula, is not happy once again.
Here's where Mike Wilbon didn't go into details that all of us covering the NBA are fully aware of. Kevin Durant in Phoenix is a problem. It is a problem. We don't see it because the stats are there. Him and Booker average 27 points per game and what have you. But they say Kevin Durant is never happy. They say that he went more than a month without even talking to the head coach. They say that he doesn't look happy there. And all he wants to do is play when the game starts and tip-off time arrives. But when it comes to ingratiating yourself with your teammates and getting along with everybody and stuff like that, he just lives in his own world. He's not hated. He's not despised. He's not doing anything negative. He's not being somebody that's two-faced and behind people back doing stuff. No, that's not who Kevin Durant is, but keeping to himself. Why does that matter?
So this guy's just never happy.
Right. And we heard this earlier, right? We heard this when we had the Phoenix Suns reporter on our show right before the playoffs. He said, just wondering how much Kevin Durant had really been showing to his team and to this organization that he truly does want to win a championship, and that's what drives him. Because I think what Stephen A is kind of describing there is the secret sauce that makes really good teams into championship teams, and that's your leader being a leader, or your best player or one of your best players. And it's why we talk about the leadership conversation with the Kings all the time, why it's so important. You have to have a guy that everybody looks up to and knows, like, hey, when push comes to shove, and we think it's De'Aaron Fox, but that everyone knows, not just on a basketball level, but on a human level. We talk about trust. Like, I don't know if his teammates, I think they trust Kevin Durant, the basketball player, but I don't think they know what necessarily Kevin thinks. And I think that's where it gets tough. Is basketball, more than any other sport, is where off the court stuff does play on the floor with chemistry and things like that. I feel like it's more evident than ever. And if KD is just kind of a mercenary for his team, I could see how that would be really, really weird relationship, especially when they already have an on the floor dynamic that's a little confusing in terms of, is it Bradley Beal's turn? Is it Devin Booker's turn? Does Devin Booker set us up? Do we all set each other up? I could see how you could kind of not fully understand what your team is great at if KD doesn't have full buy-in.
I'm just not dealing with it. I'm so done with Kevin Durant.
For sure.
He just is never happy. He's never happy.
Yeah.
And then he claims, because I was in the Bay, and he claims that he just wants to play basketball. Right. He doesn't just like this hoop, drama. Right? Yeah. But it's the complete opposite.
Right.
Steve Kerr, you found a way to not be happy with Steve Kerr. Then you create a team in Brooklyn. And once they got out of there, Kyrie's talking as if somebody had them tied to a chair and made them go to Brooklyn when they all decided to do this together. So it's been a complete mess. I think Kevin Durant is a really good player. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, generational scorer, but I don't want that headache, man.
Sure.
I'm just sick of it. It's just, there's always something with Kevin Durant. It's just a matter of time before we all have, friends that just sometimes they have that friend who's just not in a good mood, and you got to ask them, what's going on? Are you okay? And they'll say it's nothing. It's nothing. But you can tell that there's something wrong with them. Yeah. That's Kevin Durant. He's just habitually unhappy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like too, the question is, because I think that's an off the floor issue. Like, is that too big of a problem to where you think you can't win with it?
To me, it's a matter of time.
Talent, the scale of talent versus dealing with this headache. And a lot of times the headaches are more, legal problems or anything like that. But I would say, to a different level, this is kind of something that comes with Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. Can you overcome the fact that he's not going to buy into your team when he is head and shoulders better than everybody else?
You talk about the Sacramento, people say that there's a Sacramento tax, right? When you're trying to get free agents or even trade, anything like that, because people don't want to be in Sacramento. It's a smaller market, whatever the case is. This is bad for the Suns. Yeah. Because I'm talking KD tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a LeBron tax too.
But
maybe that's what makes Steph so great, right? Is that you could argue he's tax-free.
He is tax-free. The KD tax, okay, Ishbia or whoever, you want Kevin Durant or you want to make this trade, well, there's a KD tax because I know I got 2 years with him before he's going to be unhappy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not giving you my whole future because I know
actually 2 years, right?
And I know in 2 years he's going to be upset for whatever reason. All right, when we return, some A's talk. We talk a lot about the A's off the field. What about the A's on the field? We are joined by Martin Gallegos, MLB.com writer who covers your future Sacramento A's. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
My good friends, Dr. Jack Friedlander and Dr. Pash in Roseville and in San Francisco are offering not only confidence, not only security, but also the ability, if you ain't insecure, to go from the roster to the all-star team. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about UpsizeMatters.com. Time after time, vote after vote, circumference, or as we call it, girth, is consistently ranked as the most important attribute. And Dr. Jack and Dr. Pash can give you a free consultation. The procedure can be done on the same day as your consultation with immediate results. It's non-surgical. It's virtually pain-free, safe, effective, long-lasting, semi-permanent, and doctor-performed. For more information, go to UpsizeMatters.com. Go to UpsizeMatters.com. make that change, make the all-star team, get your girth on.
Shop Folsom Lake Kia for special offers right now. I'm Coach Doug Christie urging you to visit my friends at Folsom Lake Kia and save big on your next new or certified pre-owned vehicle right now. Visit FolsomLakeKia.com.
Be listening to Sacktown Sports each Friday morning for the Rivercats Weekend Report with team updates and everything you'll want to know about the next exciting Rivercats homestand. Let's go, Rivercats! The Arnold Law Firm has seen how an injury can turn anyone's life upside down. Whether it's a slip and fall, a car accident, or any other kind of injury. For almost 50 years, the Arnold Law Firm has been here to help you through the entire process to protect you and your family. If you are ever injured or in an accident, call the Arnold Law Firm. The Arnold Law Firm, providing real justice for you since 1975. Call 916-777-7777. That's 916-777-7777.
Hagen Oaks Demo Days is in the home stretch, and this is your last chance to register for an individual fitting appointment with the manufacturer's fitting staff from Ping, TaylorMade, Mizuno, Callaway, Cleveland, Strixon, and Zexio. You've waited many long months for the new golf season, and Hagen Oaks has your new golf gear right now. Book your individual Hagen Oaks Demo Days fitting appointment. Call 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for your personal fitting. Hagen Oaks, Fulton Avenue at Cap City Freeway or HagenOaks.com.
It's Sacktown Sports 49ers insider Emil Fergoso here to tell you about the Sacramento Autograph Expo Trade Night hosted by True Sports Cards, happening at the Fairgrounds in Roseville. Come hang out with fellow hobby enthusiasts as we sell and trade trading cards under the stars at Attaway Pavilion. Trade Night is completely free, happening Saturday, May 18th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. After an action-packed day of meeting your favorite athletes, stick around for a bit. So come on down to Trade Night at the Fairgrounds in Roseville, located at 700 Event Center Drive, Saturday, May 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. For more information, visit sacksportscardexpo.com or hit up Trade Night host Candlestick Sports Cards on Instagram. See you there.
Feel the thunder. It ignites something inside of you.
Lightning and the thunder.
Sets alight an elevated state of being. Days are pure exhilaration. And the nights, they're simply electric. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder. Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
Across Sacramento, air conditioners are firing up, and with them, power bills are going through the roof. Are you ready for your utility bill to soar even higher next month? Since 1980, Aztec Solar has helped thousands of homeowners save money because going solar is like getting an extra paycheck every month. We call it the Aztec Paycheck. How big of a paycheck? Find out at yourpowersavings.com. Visit yourpowersavings.com and Aztec Solar will text you how much money you'll save every month. Find out how much you'll save now at yourpowersavings.com. It's fast, easy, and reliable. Stop paying the power company and start paying yourself. Looking for a deal? Here's a timely offer from Aztec Solar. You can own a solar electric system for just $99.95. Cash price after incentives. Don't waste another dollar. Visit yourpowersavings.com and keep your money where it belongs, in your pocket. Aztec Solar. Solar and only solar since 1980.
All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
This video going around of Vlad Jr. doing a cartwheel trying to tag somebody. The Blue Jays are in last place.
Are they really?
In the AL East, yeah.
I had such big hopes for the Blue Jays maybe like 2 or 3 years ago when I was like just trying to get reintegrated into, watching baseball and following everything. I was like, all right, who's going to be the team that I can follow to get excited? Almost like the OKC of baseball. And I landed on, the Nepo babies that are the Toronto Blue Jays. And they just have never, they've been good. I think they made the playoffs one of those, if not 2 of those years. But
right.
Just nothing really to get too excited about. I thought Vladdy was going to be, like this, coming up as a prospect. That was kind of the first it almost felt like high school mixtapes for Vladdy when he was coming into the MLB, where you were seeing these videos of him just sending nukes out in AAA and in single A. And it was like, when are they going to get this guy up? And then of course you had the everyone knows his dad and the kind of power that his dad hit with. And Vladdy's been good, but I don't think it feels almost Trevor Lawrence-esque, where it's like, he's been good, but has he been the guy that everybody kind of said he was supposed to be? Did he live up to the best player in the league potential? I wouldn't say so.
No. I mean, he had some issues with his weight, and he got moved from third base at a pretty young age over to first base.
Yeah.
So now got lucky. They already had the DH in the AL, but now with the universal DH, I mean, it's not exactly what you would hope for. So yeah, the Blue Jays are quite the mess, but they're surprising people in the wrong way, as the A's are surprising people in the right way. Really, really odd stuff here, as we are joined by Martin Gallegos, Oakland A's beat reporter for MLB.com. Martin, never really saw anything like this, and thank you for joining us. The A's lose the series to the Mariners, but in every game, the team that won scored 8 runs. That's a little random. The Mariners won 8-1, then the A's won 8-1, and then the Mariners won 8-4.
Yeah, you don't see that too often, right? It was basically, when you break down the series, it was kind of simple. One team got a good starting pitching performance pretty much every time out, and when the A's didn't get that, they lost those 2 games. But competitive throughout, and like you mentioned, it kind of being a surprise team throughout MLB, it kind of continued there, even though they lost 2 of 3. The Mariners are probably going to be in this playoff race to the end, and the A's hung with them, for most of it.
We're talking to Martin Gallegos. Martin, thank you so much for joining us, Oakland A's beat reporter for MLB.com. Martin, let's start here. Obviously, there is the off-the-field stuff and the on-the-field stuff when it comes to the A's. We're going to focus mostly on the on-the-field stuff. So for those out here in Sacramento that are starting to watch the A's a bit more because of what the future has in store for the A's, can you give us basically a A's 101 on the roster and some of the names? I think Mason Miller, will get into that. Chris has some questions on Mason Miller, but just the A's 101. If I'm just turning on the TV for the first time and I'm watching the Oakland A's, who are some of the names you should be familiar with? What's the vibe of the team? Can you give us an A's 101?
Yeah, sure. So, obviously the last 2 years, if you just look at the results, they're going through a rebuild, and they lost 100 games the last 2 years. And, it was kind of tough just going through that period. But I think now they're starting to reach a point where they're identifying players like Mason Miller, like you mentioned, that are going to be part of this team's future. You look at guys like Zach Geloff, who's currently injured. But a lot of guys who they have coming up the system, like Jacob Wilson, Tyler Soderstrom, Max Muncy, these guys are all getting close to the big leagues, and they're all part of this young core that's going to hopefully get this team back to playoff contention. And they're competing this year basically on the strength of a really strong bullpen. I know Mason Miller gets all the attention, all the love, but there's a few guys in that bullpen that are really impressing this year and kind of surprising a lot of people with the way they're throwing. Lucas Urseg's throwing 100 miles per hour. Austin Adams is getting guys out. So really the pitching has been the big story for them this year and why they're close to 500. You've got guys like Brent Rooker, who was an all-star last year, and he seems to be on an all-star pace this year with his power numbers right now. He just had a big series over there in Seattle, and he's making a case for a player of the month this year. So I think the best way to describe them is a young team that's kind of on the rise now after a couple of down years. They went through a rebuild. They're starting to identify pieces, young guys who are going to be a part of the team's future, and they feel like if not this year, in the coming year, they're going to be back into playoff contention like they were before they kind of tore the roster down from 2018 to 2021.
Wow. Yeah. I'm sure Sacramento A's fans are loving to hear that. And I mean, the big difference or the big jump this year that the A's have made through 42 games last year, they were 9-33. This year, they're 19-23. They weren't in the Shohei race. The last time I checked, they did not get Ohtani this offseason. They, weren't in any of the big races. They didn't really bring in any big free agent names. To you, what's been the big difference from last year to this year? Is it really just internal growth?
Yeah, and I think, a lot of times you look at last year, a lot of these guys who are on this current team weren't here the last 2 years. So they really weren't a part of all that losing. They were in the minor leagues. winning games together. And I kind of talked about this with a guy like Brett Harris, who they just called up last week. He's one of their top prospects as well. All these guys, whether it's, Zach Geloff, Lawrence Butler, Tyler Soderstrom, Mason Miller, all these guys came up through the minors together, and they were winning ball games down there. And they were watching the big league team obviously struggle with a lot of guys who aren't here anymore. They were just kind of stopgaps because they got rid of so many good players over the last couple of years. But now all these guys who have developed throughout the minors, some of them are still down there, but a lot of them are making their way up here. And they've kind of brought that culture that they had of winning down there. They were used to winning throughout their minor league careers. And so now that they're winning here a little bit more, it's not really a surprise to them because, they've been doing this at AA, AAA, and now it's just in the major leagues where they're doing it. So, they're still learning on the fly. They're still young, and they're still probably going to go through their ups and downs like any young players. But I think right now they're gaining a lot of confidence with the way that they've played over this first month.
Talking to Martin Gallegos, Oakland A's beat reporter for MLB.com. Martin, how unique has it been? Obviously, it was probably the craziest day of sports radio I've ever done when the announcement came down that the A's will be playing the next couple years in Sacramento. How unique has it been covering this team with everything else going on? And as far as when you're, interviewing some of the players, what's been the vibe? Is it just, hey, that's really has nothing to do with us. We play where we're told. Or have people been able to power through it? Are they rallying around everything? You have the reverse boycotts. You have people not showing up, and they're not the only ballpark that doesn't get a lot of fans. But how has the vibe of the team been, and how has it been for you covering the team with everything else going on?
Yeah, it's certainly a unique situation. No other team in baseball is going through something like this. So it is different. I think. Yeah, like the players, I just try to, focus on this year now. Now at least we know kind of where they're going to play next year. For a while, it was like, where the lease was up after this year at the Coliseum. Nobody knew where they were going to play. Were they going to stay there for a little bit longer? Were they going to go, Sacramento or, Salt Lake City was in play, it felt like. So at least now we know they're going to be there next year. But as far as the players, I don't think they really worry about it too much. A lot of these guys are still just trying to make it in the big leagues, period. Right. So they can't really think about, next year. They're just trying to make it this year. But a lot of them have played at that Sacramento ballpark, obviously in the minor leagues, and they like the aesthetics of it. It's a really nice ballpark. Obviously, it does need some upgrades, which the A's are planning to do. So I think they're hopeful that those come through. But I think they're focused on this year and trying to surprise some people, and they feel like they've done that here early on. And I think with it being the last year in Oakland, they also want to kind of pay tribute to the city of Oakland and the fans that do show up. Obviously, there's a large fan base. You guys know the complicated situation that's gone on here for years with them, but They do know that there's a segment of fans that are out there that care about this team, that watch them. They might not show up to the ballpark, but they want to see them do well. So I think part of their motivation for this year is, being the last year in Oakland, let's kind of go out with a bang and try to win as many games as possible.
Yeah, Martin, and you've been talking about Mason Miller as well, and I think that's somebody who's definitely, his name has sparked up this past week. It feels like things started to ramp up when it comes to, is this somebody who's going to be available at the trade deadline? Because obviously the A's have a history of, these guys get really good and then ship them off before they have to get paid. It sounds like it might be a little bit of a different situation where the A's might actually be trying to build towards something here. Just from your perspective, do you think Mason Miller will be here by the end of the trade deadline? And do you see him being here in Sacramento next season?
I think definitely, yeah. I think next year for sure, at the very least. He's still got 6 years of control. He's barely a rookie. It would have to be like a monumental package of like players, top prospects to even get the A's, I think, really to pick up the phone and seriously entertain anything. I think at this point, they've identified him as such a supreme talent that, there's no reason to trade him at this point. They don't really have anything to gain. They're rebuilding, and he's part of this rebuild. He's so young, still improving, still developing, which is crazy to think because he's so dominant right now, but he's still, he's only pitched, I don't even think he's got 100 innings of professional baseball under his belt. He's really still kind of a young kid in that aspect. He's gone through some injuries, but he's really taken to that closer role. And it seems like this is going to be something that he can take and run with and be a dominant closer for a long time. And, to answer your question, I don't think he gets traded this year. I think, obviously I saw the report that came out, but it would require a lot for them to even, think about doing something like that.
Martin Gallegos, thank you so much. Oakland A's beat reporter for MLB.com. This has been great. We will definitely have you on again soon as the A's continue to surprise some people, and next season as well when they're up here playing at Sutter Health.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Coming up next, more info on the A's and what is happening with Vegas. David Sampson speaks on it. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Winter's gone, so there's no excuses for missing out on Sacramento's premier country festival, Country in the Park. It's this Friday and Saturday. Don't miss your chance to see
Brandon Gilbert, Dustin Lynch, Jake Owen, Walker Hayes, Brian Kelly, Drew Baldridge, Brian Martin, Michael Ray,
Ingrid Andress, Priscilla Block,
Chase Matthew.
Tickets are only $46 per day. Buy your tickets now at CITPfest.com. That's CITPfest.com. Or take your chances at the gate. Brought to you by Junior Restaurant and Lounge, Vernick Academy, and Fieldhouse American Sports Pub.
This time of year can mean only one thing: Jeeps, Jeeps, and more Jeeps. It's Jeep season at Lodi Jeep Superstore. Leonard Harrington here, and I can't wait to tell you about what we've got going on, because we're talking Jeeps and big savings too. Now you can get the 2024 Jeep Compass Sport 4x4 for only $26,999. That's right, just $26,999. And of course, it comes loaded with features like rear view camera, power tailgate, blind spot monitor, Bluetooth, 4-wheel drive, and much, much more for only $26,999.
More than 5 available with this offer. MSRP $27,495. Lodi CDJR discount $496. Net price $26,999. See dealer for details. Offer ends 5/31/24.
We're talking Jeeps. We're talking big savings too during the Jeep season, going on now at the Lodi Jeep Superstore, right off 99 in Kettleman, where we're open till 9 every night and Sundays after church.
Prices are better at the Low Price Center. Lodi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Visit us at LodiCDJR.com.
It's been said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And when it comes to a nice, cool summer, it's so true. Right now, get a complete air conditioner tune-up for just $59. Bonnie, plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com. Some restrictions apply. License 696-355.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sacktown Sports.
Thank you to Martin Gallegos, Oakland A's beat reporter for MLB.com. A little A's 101. Okay, J.J. Bleday, Zach Geloff, obviously Mason Miller. They're doing it with pitching, hovering around 500. And it's very, very watchable baseball, right? It's extremely watchable baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, the whole thing, and the A's got clowned because when everybody was talking the day of the announcement, it was all about, and I do think it was pretty funny, that it was just no conversation about the actual A's roster. It was, you
Even
get to
from
see
John
Ohtani.
Fisher.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And Vivek. You get to see Ohtani. You get to see Aaron Judge. Well, you also get to see that the team that will be there every day will not be Aaron Judge, and it will not be Shohei Ohtani, but it will be the Zach Geloffs of the world, and hopefully Mason Miller. I mean, that was the main. That was the biggest thing I took away from Martin, and we'll definitely continue to have Martin on. Great stuff. He does not think Mason Miller would be moved. Okay, the young flamethrower who throws 103 miles per hour, the closer for the A's. Chris, you got to think, right? And, you know, he was asked on Foul Territory, hey, you guys going to do anything for your intro with the lights? He'll do something that Sutter Health will do something. There'll be something with the lights. There'll be some type of intro.
Maybe get like a manual spotlight or something.
Yeah.
You know? Like somebody who's actually just pointing it with their hands or something. I don't know.
Everybody put your cell phone lights in the air.
Yeah, we can do something. It's the most intimate ballpark in baseball.
Right.
You know, we can figure something out.
Simone has the cell phone light on.
Looks
in the
great.
background. Great stuff there.
There we go.
Great stuff there, Simone.
We should do that sometime.
But of course, with the A's, there's always something else going on off the field, and you have people that have been very vocal about what the A's have going on or don't have going on. There's always something, and now it's a matter of the funding, right? As John Fisher is looking for this funding in Vegas, and David P. Sampson, who's been very outspoken, he's on Le Batard's show and CBS Sports headquarters. He is explaining what is going on with John Fisher as he still tries to find investment money, and this all connects back to the A's and Sacramento based on getting this deal done and what's going to happen after year 3 and possibly year 4 if they option into that, and the A's moving to Vegas. So here is David Sampson.
It's very hard to find people to invest as a limited partner in a franchise when you're trying to do it at a valuation that is based on the come. And everything about the A's valuation as a franchise is based on what's going to be, not what is or what has been. Right. And what's going to be in John's mind when he's pitching a document, when he's pitching a valuation to investors, he's saying, we're going to have a new ballpark. We're going to be in a healthier situation. We're going to have a competitive team. We're going to get 2 million people. The TV situation is going to iron itself out, and everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows and unicorns. So therefore, buy 10% of the team and give me $200 million. Yeah. And people are saying, well, that math doesn't work. This is not a $2 billion team. It's not even a $1 billion team right now. There's so much uncertainty. So I think there's a real disconnect between what investors are valuing his team at and what he's valuing his team at.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Legitimately, I mean, Alan, I don't know about you. I know you're a big TV guy. I know you like, you know, your cooking shows and everything like that, occasional HGTV and all that stuff. But to me, sounds like a different show. To me, it's sounding like Shark Tank all of a sudden.
It's literally
where
Shark Tank.
This guy is going and he's like, no, let me tell you. I know I've only done 5 sales, okay, but I've done the research here, and this thing is a booming market, okay? You want to get into these whatever, snake oil salesman type stuff, because this market is gonna pop, okay? Yeah. And that's why I'm offering you right here, right now, 3% of the company at an evaluation of $2 billion. 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 $2 billion Where are you getting these numbers from?
Right.
Where does this evaluation come
well,
from?
first of all, John, your evaluations are way off. This isn't a $2 billion company. This isn't a $1
Who's
billion
the first one
company.
to speak on this? Is this Mr. Wonderful just ripping into him?
Well, I think Mark Cuban just says,
right. Look, hey, I own a sports team, okay?
Right.
I don't know if you know I own a sports team
Did you know
already.
how much the Mavs were worth when I purchased them?
Let me tell you. Okay?
It was already more than
Look,
the A's.
You buy low, not high into these things, okay? So for that reason, I'm out.
What do you need the investment for? Well, we need to get to Vegas, and we need somebody to pay for it. But you want me to pay for it with money that you don't have.
Right.
Yes.
Just make it make sense to me, John. Just make it make sense to me.
And Lori's going to be looking down at the paper.
She's like, look,
this isn't a space that I'm really comfortable in.
We can maybe sell like some of your gear on the QVC or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I just don't really feel comfortable enough. If Mark's not willing to go in this with me, I'm also out. And then it's, then he's only got to focus on the two investors here.
Yep.
And, I don't know, unless they're going to put FUBU on the side of the jersey or something, I don't think he's going to find the right investor here. You might, this could be a scrub daddy situation.
Yeah.
It could be where it pops off after, but I don't know. To me, it feels like he's going in there with some wild numbers and just saying, no, trust me, this is all going to work out. If we start to become an average MLB team, you're going to want to be in this.
Guys, the way I'm looking at this is there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, right.
And you don't want to miss out on what the A's are going to be.
Yep.
Well, here's the problem, John. It seems like no one else is worried about missing out.
Yeah.
And so why should I be worried about missing out?
And Mark's been writing in his little handbook the entire time. He's like, you know what? I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
You give me 100% of your team for $750,000.
Yeah. Mr. Wonderful comes back and says, okay, I'll give you the 200 mil, but because of the evaluation, I'm going to need 94.5% of the company.
And they're always like, well, I'm not willing to part with that. Look, I wasn't willing to get rid of 90. I was only looking to get rid of 2% of my company, and now you're offering to buy the entire thing.
Well, first of all, thank you for the offer, Mr. Wonderful, but that's a little steep for me.
I'm going to have to talk to some of our investors, and, maybe we can get back to you. This is not good. This is not good. It's not a good Shark Tank presentation.
It's not good if you want the A's to go to Vegas.
Right. I guess.
I think if you don't want the A's to go to Vegas, it's good.
Yeah.
This is good. You can't find an investor. There's nobody right now that's going to pay to build the ballpark.
Yeah. So you're telling me I have to pay for everything, and then once it's there, I'll own like 5% of it, even though my investment is really the thing that made it work?
Yeah.
Explain that one to me, John. Please explain to me why I'm doing you this favor. Well, there's probably not a good answer there. I just don't see it. Yeah. For this reason, I'm out.
It's rough.
It's over. It's not over, but it's just like, I seriously, we were joking about it, but I just don't think he's going to get any sort of significant investment without him giving up a significant share of the team. And he's been adamant that that's not what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you open it up, you can't, I don't know. That's where, I think some of the Oakland people will start to say, well, is this team available for sale or not?
Right.
Or is this already a done,
Right. And that's why Vivek's not getting into it, because right now the sale is to help Vegas.
Yes.
Vivek does not necessarily want to help. Why would I help you guys leave? No. If anything, I want you to stay here. So that's why Vivek's not going to help, because I'm not going to help you get to Vegas. That's even if it meant me
hustling backwards. Exactly.
Vivek cares more about the team being in Sacramento than he does about owning some of the whatever A's, right? With Vegas or Sacramento, whatever the case is.
Right.
Coming up next, it's time to have an awkward conversation. Okay, asking the question about De'Aaron Fox and whether or not it's too late for him to become elite. I'll put it to you like this. Chris and I, it might get a little heated in the studio. You don't want to miss it. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
And watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss even when you monitor your credit. If your identity's stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% their first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at LifeLock.com.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 20 or more select self-leveling underlayment. And there's more. Save 10% when you buy 2 or more packs of 360 Trex Universal Hidden Fasteners. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
My father was a career United States Air Force pilot, and Memorial Day is a reminder of all he and so many others did for our country. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Right now at the annual Memorial Day sale, everything in the store is on sale. Everything. You'll save 10 to 25% on all living rooms, to sofas, to sectionals, to dining rooms, to bedrooms, to home offices, and so much more. Everything is on sale right now at Naturewood Home Furnishings Memorial Day sale. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, it's all available for you at savings from 10 to 25% at Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishing, off Highway 50 in Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, and other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-934-9217. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-934-9217 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sacktown Sports.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
The home team remains undefeated in their series. 4 games, home team won all 4. And the Pacers are now 5-0 at home in the playoffs. This one, their best performance yet.
The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, trying to hang around and make some noise. Got to go back to Madison Square Garden. And here's the conversation about De'Aaron Fox, about your path to become elite, and how much time should you take? How much time should you take, and how long should it take for somebody to get into that category? And look, it's different for everybody, but there does seem to be a time limit on these things. So basically, this is what happened, Chris. there was a De'Aaron Fox edit going around, and it was basically just highlights of De'Aaron, and it was a really cool edit, right? The kids, they do them on TikTok and things like that. So I took the edit and I, retweeted it, and I said, this De'Aaron Fox edit goes hard. But besides that, he's basically got 1 to 2 years to be elite, or he's going to be labeled as a number 2, right? Or maybe just a tier below, any way you want to put that. Somebody responded to me and they said, this man has been in the league for 7 years with 1 All-Star appearance as a reserve, and he's averaged 21, 3, and 6. He is who he is at this point, a number 2. Doesn't take 8 to 9 years in any sport to see if that athlete is elite. And that was from DC, Niners for Life. And I thought it was a really good point, right? I think if you ask a lot of people, how long does it feel like De'Aaron Fox has been in the league? I don't think it feels like 7 years. I don't think it feels like De'Aaron Fox is going into year 8. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, 916-339-1140, is it too late? And all guests and callers join us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Is it too late for De'Aaron Fox to get into that category, right? Is it a matter of, hey, if he was going to take a leap, he would have taken it already? Is he ever going to get into that category with the Lukas and that top tier? Or should we just start having the conversation that De'Aaron Fox is a tier below? It is what it is. Doesn't mean you can't win with him. You got some bonus. You got to put some pieces around him. He can still be the leader on a championship team and not be a premier number 1. Not every team has one. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of Lukas running around.
Right.
Okay. There's not a lot of Giannis's running around.
No.
All right. So where do you fall in this line of thinking as far as De'Aaron Fox, who he is and who he can become at this point?
Yeah, I think in a weird way, both things can be true. I definitely more so side with you, but I think he is a number 2 right now is what he is labeled. But I would just say it's a fluid thing that can always change. And, De'Aaron's also only gotten 1 real opportunity at showing out in the playoffs, and he went off. He was great for the Kings last season. He was more than good enough to be a number 1 on a conference finals team if the team around him was good enough. But I think that's been the problem is De'Aaron's been as good as Shea, but maybe not this season. I would say Shea's had a better year, but De'Aaron's to the caliber of player of Shea, if not just barely under. It's just the team around him hasn't been what OKC has. And so I think, you give De'Aaron a couple more opportunities to show out. I think he'll show to be a number 1 player. But right now, as it's only been given 1 opportunity and the rest of his career has come short of the playoffs, sure, he can be labeled as a number 2, but I just wouldn't say that it's a definite thing. I think he's shown enough progression because I think at this point it's just about what have you done leading into it to make me believe in you. I think De'Aaron the past 4 years has been, I know he's been 25 points per game the last 4 seasons. So yes, for his career, he's averaged 21, but that's factoring in the fact his rookie year, he averaged 11 points per game. That's not the De'Aaron Fox that we know. He's 25 per game the last 4 seasons, 6 assists, a steal and a half on 48% shooting. He's good enough to be a number 1. You just have to have a good enough team around him. He's not a, like you said, a Luka, a Giannis, where, you can have a average to below average team around him and still be great. He's not at that tier yet, but he's still a number 1 option on a competing team, I think. But the more help you give him, obviously the easier it's going to be and maybe the less reliant you can be on him.
If De'Aaron was on OKC instead of Shea, do they have the same season?
Similar. Yeah, similar, I would think. I think Shea has definitely done his part to imprint himself, the amount of times he gets to the free throw line, the efficiency. De'Aaron hasn't been that efficient. But I would say similar. There's no reason to think maybe they would have fallen out of, I don't know, because Shea's also been in that system so long. If you plop De'Aaron there, maybe it doesn't look as good. But if you have De'Aaron nurtured in that environment and brought up in that environment, I don't really see why not. They do it a little bit different. I'd say De'Aaron's a little bit more of like a pure scorer than Shea is. But no, result-wise, I wouldn't think it'd be much different, if different at all.
Right. Yeah, obviously people are going to put Shea above De'Aaron now
Yeah.
with what they've been doing, and they're not done yet. So that's another guy. And he just talked about the different, kind of leapfrogs. And then you look at just the value of De'Aaron. You know what I mean? I'm looking at De'Aaron versus a Trae Young. I think De'Aaron is better than Trae Young, but I feel like there are a lot of guards out there that, and maybe it's part of being in Sacramento and not getting to watch him as much, or, for those that aren't Sacramento Kings fans, but I feel like De'Aaron is one of those players where there are a lot of guys that he's definitely better than, but there are a lot of players that people would take over De'Aaron.
Sure.
Like there's definitely people out there that would take Trae Young over
right.
De'Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like there's a long list. Yeah. There's people that would take Brunson over
Ja
De'Aaron.
too as well. Yeah,
Ja,
Brunson, all these guys.
Right? I mean, I think
yeah,
people would take. I mean, we had a Memphis writer on our show and said they would take De'Aaron over Ja, but that was De'Aaron. That was early in the season when De'Aaron was cooking.
Right. Exactly.
He did not play like that all season long.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a conversation you love to bring up, is the brand thing as well. Like I definitely think when you just talk about notoriety, like I think everyone thinks, when you're a superstar, Ja, like he's got these big dunks, and I think everybody, only thinks of those things when they think of Ja. And to your point about what you've made about De'Aaron, you didn't just make this point, but De'Aaron's brand is speed, I guess, and I don't think a lot of people see it displayed too often, and so I think people think Ja is just always flying in the air. He's just lives in elevation,
right?
And De'Aaron, he has the speed, but it doesn't necessarily play itself out as much as what maybe Ja's skill set allows him to do. I definitely think De'Aaron is underrated. We've talked about it all the time. He's underrated in the grand scheme of things. But I to the point of the conversation, I definitely think he can show more still in the playoffs. I just think he hasn't been put on the right stages for enough time to let people know exactly how good he is. If he had an opportunity, I have no doubt that he could put up over 30 a game in a playoff series. I just think that's the kind of guy he is. And I do think maybe some of the, I guess you could say the relaxed nature of him in the regular season does sometimes tend to bite him in the butt, because I do think if he were to just always be hunting for his looks, I think a lot of people would think a lot more highly of De'Aaron.
From the 916, De'Aaron might not be hungry enough to be elite. From the 530, I absolutely believe Fox is a number one on a championship team when he's at his best. Before his ankle and some random shoulder injuries last season, he was playing like the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't know if, I'm looking at Anthony Edwards plus minus from last night. I don't know if he can be an Anthony Edwards level, mega star, but I definitely think he's good enough. Like I said, if a good enough team is around him, and maybe that's a different conversation of, okay, well, if you have to have a great team around you, how much of a superstar are you? Sure. But I think that's more just recognizing, again, not everybody can be these top three players. There's only three of them that can be top three players that can really survive without having great. I mean, even look at Jason Tatum. Like Jason Tatum has a fantastic team, a fantastic supporting cast around him. And even then they haven't been able to get it done. So I think, more so if you put De'Aaron in a Celtics situation, I don't see why the Celtics wouldn't have similar success. Maybe, Tatum's size plays a factor, but I think De'Aaron is capable enough of leading a team to a championship. It's just, you've got to put talent, or you've got to put more talent around him. And I think the Kings are on a good start, but this has been the wall that I think we keep talking about, is getting better at those other positions. We know they have to, but how does that actually happen? I think is going to be the thing that ends up playing out for De'Aaron's career here. If the Kings can help him out, I think he'll have a chance to show people he's at that level. He is that guy. But if the Kings can't figure out how to upgrade, to the earlier texter's point of, you just got to get these talented guys in here and stop thinking so much about the future. Just get talent and let the talent figure it out. If they don't do that, then, we might not ever see De'Aaron have the team around him that he needs, because the front office might end up being too cautious. But I just feel like at some point here, even Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox have to understand, and I think they do, a move has to be made.
Yeah, and we can do this the other way. I feel like this is kind of a Brock Purdy type of conversation. 15 other QBs, or somebody said 15 other QBs could do what Brock Purdy just did. If Shea, what's weird is it's hard to do because you're stuck in the moment, right? And you can do this both ways. You can put De'Aaron on the Thunder, or you could put Shea on the Kings.
Right.
And if Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was on the Kings instead of De'Aaron Fox, would the Kings have made the playoffs? I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't think there's a guarantee.
I don't know why, but I feel like they would have made the playoffs. And maybe that's completely unfair because of what we've watched with Shea, and I've only seen him on the Thunder, but I just kind of feel like they would have made the playoffs. And I don't know what to do with that information.
I just don't feel that. I mean, I don't know what he would bring that necessarily wasn't there. I mean, the elevated field goal percentage maybe, but you could also argue that, again, when you have the teammates around you that you do, you get easier looks. People can't help off as much because they're afraid of your other teammates. So you're not all shots are created equal, not all shot attempts. I just don't know what would have been the thing that Shea has that De'Aaron absolutely doesn't have, because it's not like Shea is hitting a ton more threes than De'Aaron. He's taking and making a lot more free throws. Maybe you can argue Mike Brown would tell you that, right? That a couple games go the Kings' way free throw percentage wise, that's 5 more wins. So you could argue that.
Maybe that's what I'm saying when they were blowing those leads and everyone's just chucking the ball up.
Yeah.
It's Shea. Hey,
gets a line. No, we talked about it. Yeah.
We're not.
Kings had nobody who would do
that. We're not just going to lose a 20-point lead with, in under 3 minutes because we go cold. It's just I'm not going to allow that to happen. And maybe that's just part of the growth for De'Aaron.
Absolutely.
Hey, live by the 3. We know how the saying goes. And De'Aaron this past season, you need to be a better shooter, but you also need to be able to stop some of these avalanches that we saw happen later in the season as well. So we'll continue the conversation. We got more texts coming in. We have more calls coming in. De'Aaron Fox, will he ever become elite? Is he already elite? Where do you fall? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another 3-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for 23 points. Match De'Aaron Fox for game scoring honors.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Folsom Lake Kia.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. We're kicking off the work week with plenty of sunshine for this Monday. Expect daytime highs to climb to the upper 80s with a Delta breeze coming through later today, expecting lows in the 50s overnight tonight. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Shop Folsom Lake Kia for special offers right now. I'm Coach Doug Christie urging you to visit my friends at Folsom Lake Kia and save big on your next new or certified pre-owned vehicle right now. Visit FolsomLakeKia.com.
Okay, it's here. Everyone stay calm. It's Kohl's lowest prices of the season. And when I say low, I mean low. I got my kids jumping beans tees for $3.99. Treated myself to some cute tees and tank tops under $5. And got great finds for our patio, 50% off. Plus I earned Kohl's cash on all of it. Sounds too good to be true? Well, I guess you'll have to go to Kohl's and find out for yourself. Select styles. Offers in May 15th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Shams Charania was on Pat McAfee's show, and he hints that LeBron James could potentially play for 2 more seasons. The 2025-2026 season will be his 23rd in the NBA, matching his jersey number. and the All-Star game will be in Los Angeles.
Will it really?
2 more years. He might retire after 23 seasons. And he'd be an all-star in LA, according to Shams.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 2 years for Bron. Like, we think next year is probably where, the armor starts to crack. Maybe 27, 7-7 becomes, 22, 6 and 5. What is he going to look like in 2 years is going to be interesting. Like, I mean, it's the thing that everybody wondered when he was young, like, oh my gosh, this guy's game is going to translate so beautifully to an old man game. People thought he would be like a Karl Malone in his later stages. And he still plays just like LeBron James, which is the craziest thing about it all, is that he hasn't really had to, with the exception of now being a 40% 3-point shooter, he really hasn't changed his game all too much. He's still a really physical, dominating presence when he drives or when he can get the energy to drive. I just don't know what he's going to look like once like he kind of loses that spring, and he's pushing on 40 at this point. You'd have to guess that at some point the tires are going to get a little flat. Once that happens and he kind of loses his athletic advantage, what is Bron going to be like is definitely going to be an interesting thing to follow. Like, can he still be a number 2 on a championship team? You would think so.
In 2 years or now? Now, yes, but in 2 years, I don't know, man.
I mean, it's just a season after next. If he can be one next season, then I don't see why he couldn't at least be a number 2 the season after. Because what would you say he was I don't even know what I would put him this year. Was he their 1? Was he their? It felt like this was the most even split up. Like, AD had a pretty crazy year this year. Maybe this year was a true like Robin or Batman season, but AD is going to have to start taking over regardless.
Just a kid from Akron.
That's all he is. Striving for greatness. One day at a time.
The text line is on fire as we ask the elite question with De'Aaron Fox from the 530. Fox is elite, but the end results as a team are keeping him from being considered elite. Fair or not, just a fact.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so. I think that's just kind of what it is. He just hasn't, I mean, when he was there, all he could do is take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of him. And in the playoffs, he averaged 27 points per game. That is, and he had a broken finger for 3 of those games. So, he was clearly a much different guy in the second half of that series. I think he's done great in all the spots that he has needed to be great in. It's just a matter of building on it,
From the 916, Fox will become elite when the front office steps their game up. Look at elite players and their front office. Are there not parallels? So
it's chicken or the egg, right? You could argue.
I mean, it's Shea. Just some of the parallels that we're talking about. Shea, we already talked about trusting front offices. Shea, sure. That front office has done a heck of a job. They also randomly, they had Chet, but they also got you find gems. Jalen Williams out of nowhere, right? Jalen Williams pops for them. And I guess that's part of it. Some of the other teams out there. I mean, we're talking about Steph Curry, right? And Steph Curry also older, but Steph Curry, they missed the playoffs.
Yep.
And Steph is for sure elite.
Yep. Absolutely. No question about it.
I sound like Chris there. Yeah, sure. Fine.
Whatever.
Steph Curry is elite.
If you're into that kind of stuff.
I guess, and I mean, LeBron, they did get into the playoffs, but all things, I guess, aren't created equal. No.
And the league's not the league it used to be. Allen Iverson used to be able to take 30 shots a game and lead the team to the finals. You can't do that now.
That Warriors team, that roster to me was on paper better than the Kings roster on paper.
Which one? The
Warriors roster right now on paper.
Yeah, probably right. Andrew Wiggins, you got Chris Paul on paper. Yeah, on paper for sure. Just on surface value,
they
100%.
Missed the playoffs.
Yeah, and they missed the playoffs.
So
I think it's you got to have help. That's definitely the thing is, even though it's a star driven league, even though your stars are the thing that separates you up top, like you still got to have a good team around you in order to make everything work. I mean, the Kings had a great player in DeMarcus Cousins. He was arguably the best center in the NBA. They couldn't get over 32 wins. So, you need a supporting cast around you, and that helps elevate your stars.
I will say this, though. If you look at the standings and you look at franchise players, right, per team. Besides the Warriors, the Kings, I guess you could say, finished the lowest who have a franchise player in their prime, right? So besides that, you have the Blazers, no franchise player. The Spurs, obviously, Wemby was a rookie. The Grizzlies were injured. The Jazz don't have a franchise player. The Rockets don't have a franchise player. Everybody above them that have franchise players made the playoffs, besides the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame that on De'Aaron, though. I mean, I don't think that's...
I do think it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to kind of what we've been doing. You would almost have to like stack it up and say, okay, now put De'Aaron on, like how to figure out is it a combination of both, or is what you just read out, is that symbolic of the fact that De'Aaron, yes, he is a franchise player, but as we always talk on this show, there's levels to it. De'Aaron might be at the bottom of the franchise player list, which what do you do with that if you have a guy who I think most people would say is a franchise player, but in terms of the franchise player power rankings, you don't necessarily have the one that most people would bet on.
I mean,
that's a tough situation.
The other way to look at this, though, is that, yeah, those teams made the playoffs. Also, we looked at the Kings 23rd in payroll, salary and payroll, things like that. All those other teams that have their franchise guys also have better rosters than the Kings.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the exercise that we would have to
like do. Who carried their team to the playoffs? You know what I mean? Because it would sound like De'Aaron's not doing enough, but the Thunder, they all balled out. The Nuggets, honestly, you could argue Jokic.
Yes, I mean,
you could argue Jokic, but he's the MVP.
Yes, exactly. That's why he's MVP.
Timberwolves, it's a team effort. Clippers, team effort. Mavs is Luka. You know, and you have Kyrie.
Right. And they were different once they got more pieces in that could actually impact, the games.
The Suns,
Washington,
a mess.
Yeah, complete mess.
Just a complete mess. And the Lakers have LeBron. The Pelicans, I guess, kind of just did it from a team, though.
Yeah, that's a team. I just think the Kings need to get better. I mean, yeah. And the Pelicans might be the example. That's where the argument becomes, there's also an argument of Sabonis was the Kings' best player in the regular season this year. And maybe that's where De'Aaron needs to be better, is Sabonis did his part. You could argue maybe De'Aaron was, to the point, maybe De'Aaron wasn't good enough as the franchise player because your number 2 option did pretty dang well all year long. Maybe De'Aaron does need to elevate his game at that number 1 level. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the argument to bringing in the third star, bringing in the McHale, the Brandon Ingram, the Lauri Markkanen, whoever, Kevin Durant, whoever your favorite player or your favorite big fish is. I think that's the argument for that is, De'Aaron might not be the highest franchise player. And so you almost need more great players up there to kind of lift the boat, if that makes sense. Rising tide, lift all ships.
From Daniel 916, Sabonis is more of a franchise player than Fox. A lot of people have different thoughts.
There's an argument. I mean, and you could argue with the way that the Kings are playing stylistically, you could definitely argue Sabonis is acting more as the franchise player because everything runs through Domantas Sabonis. Now, we know De'Aaron takes them over the top and the team goes as far as De'Aaron goes and all that stuff, but Domantas Sabonis is second in the NBA in touches. Okay, that to me signifies that they view him just as highly, if not more so, which I don't think so. I would say just as highly as De'Aaron.
We continue the conversation. More of your texts, more of your calls, more of your Sack Chat. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
In a world where everybody and their mother makes a primed trim board, contractors have to ask one question. Do I know what's under the primer? Available at just about every lumber yard you can imagine. Vintage trim boards are made from lodgepole pine. That's the stuff telephone poles and railroad ties are made of. It's durable. It's straight. It's been doing the job for generations. Manufactured right here in the USA. Ask for it by name. VintageTrimboards.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The countdown to Miss Twin Peaks 2024 is on. Head over to MissTwinPeaks2024.com to learn about the contest and cast your 5 votes for your favorite Twin Peaks girl.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for my good friends at American Energy. Now, I've told you this before, but this is what we call extending a good deal. Right now, American Energy Heat and Air is offering an HVAC diagnostic for $99. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Never mind. They're offering it free. It's a $99 value, but you get it for $0. Let the American Energy team test your system connections and all the moving parts of that system to ensure that it's functioning properly. Now, this is a limited time offer. Call today to schedule your appointment at 916-520-9990. Speak to the company that has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau that's been making the greater Sacramento area proud since 1981. 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Hi, everyone. It's Emron Pilati, host of the True Sports Card Show here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday at 10 a.m. Would you like a chance to meet Ricky Henderson, Dennis Rodman, Johnny Manziel, Randy Johnson, Frank Thomas, Vlad Guerrero Sr., Dave Stewart, and our favorite Malik Monk, and meet over 90 sports card dealers all in one weekend? This is your chance to do it on May 17th through the 19th at the Roseville Fairgrounds at the Sacramento Autograph Expo. You can get all the information about the show on our website at sacautograph.expo.com. That's sacautograph.expo.com.
Seems like all this artificial intelligence stuff stirs up the age-old debate of man versus machine. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and let me ask you, would you let a robot cut your hair? Would you rely on an app to teach a kid to ride a two-wheeler? Let's face it, some things require the human touch. People come to us seeking a solution to foot, leg, and back pain after trying all kinds of things recommended by in-store machines or website blurbs. An impersonal, generic approach to solving a problem that's unique to you. No wonder they usually don't work. At the Good Feet store, you'll meet with an arch support specialist who will take the time to learn about your needs, your feet, your lifestyle, and then fit you from over 300 models and sizes of arch supports, designed for pain relief, better balance, and more comfort.
Do you have sore feet, an aching back, or plantar fasciitis? Then get to the Good Feet store nearest you for your free arch support fitting. Good Feet arch supports are only available at the Good Feet store.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sacktown Sports at sacktownsports.com. Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sacktown Sports.
Yeah, seeing stuff here, Chris. Bronny James listed at 6'4" on every roster he's ever played on. Oof. Measured just a half inch over 6'1". He was 6'1.5" at the NBA Combine. This is CJ Real Hoops, co-host of Once Dribble, says 6'1" guys who average 5 points a game in college don't usually get drafted. I sure do wonder what's the difference in Bronny's case. Well, Calvi, I think we all know what the difference is. But that's crazy, though. Okay, so media guides, obviously everybody unless you're Kevin Durant, who's maybe the only man in the history of men to lie about being shorter than he actually is. Everybody beefs it up a bit, right? In high school, everybody. Yeah. And
it's a
then
thing. Like, it's a legitimate thing.
But it is. But this idea, and there are people defending LeBron, Bronny saying, "Hey, you don't play the game barefoot." But guys, shoes don't give you 3 inches.
Right.
Not normal shoes. Jordans are maybe giving you like an inch and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. But he is not going to be 6'4" on the court. No. There's no way.
No, he's not going to be 6'4" on the floor at all.
I know a governor in Florida who may disagree with you.
I'm looking at it here. And all the width shoes measurements are no more than about 2 inches of height.
So they could get him to 6'3".
Like, I'm looking here. Walker Kessler was listed at 7 foot, almost flat, and he's 7'1" in shoes. The biggest difference I'm seeing here is, it's about 2. 2 is about the most that I'm seeing gained via shoe. So there you go. So at best, Bronny is 6'3".
And I guess right, because he's 6'1.5", so now he's 6'3.5". So you could round up, and you can get there.
Exactly. Math can be manipulated.
You can get there.
It can definitely be manipulated. I just feel like, it's like you said. I mean, I don't know how many 6'1" guards who can't shoot, and he's an athlete, but he's not. He's not LeBron James, a senior. He's not out here, just looking like a physically dominant freak. He's really, really fast. He's got a lot of muscle to him for sure. Braun has definitely showed him the James weight plan, but I don't think it's anything that I would think is necessarily special or ridiculous. Like, the thing that's going to make Bronny's going to have to earn it. If he's going to be an NBA player, he's going to have to be like a GP2, in a weird way, almost like Patrick Beverly, where it's just like he's going to have to find, or Jose Alvarado, he has to find the thing that's going to make him essentially playable. Like, because he's not a great point guard. He doesn't have crazy vision or anything like that. It's not like he's, college Lonzo Ball or something. He doesn't really shoot at a high level. He can finish around the rim, but again, like, it's nothing crazy. He's just a really good basketball player. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, high basketball IQ.
He'll be a decent G leaguer for sure.
Aaron on the Sack Chat is saying maybe some Air Timberlands could get you.
That could work. The problem, the weight on those.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Anyone who balls in Tim's,
Cole Anthony dunked in Tim's.
Yeah,
do you remember that? That was the worst
contest.
dunk contest I've ever seen.
It was one where it was like, if you wear Tim's, you'll understand that it's an accomplishment.
I got some Tim's.
It does not.
I'm wearing Tim's today.
Simone has Tim's
with
on.
the heels, but these are Tim's.
Yeah, those are definitely.
Bronny's gonna need those.
Yeah, he's gonna need it for sure. Yeah, that Tim dunk was almost like to me the Gerald Green cupcake.
Yeah.
Didn't really hit the first time you watch it.
Right.
Like, the replay, you see, oh my God, this fool's head is like above the rim. But when you first watch it, it's like, okay, he dunked and blew out a candle. Like, okay. And the Tim's dunk was kind of like that too. But yeah.
I mean, it probably is really, and it's probably not even really that safe to be dunking in Tim's.
Probably not. No, definitely not.
This isn't, what is it, NBA Street boots? on PS2 back in the day?
That's crazy.
That was it. Yeah.
With some jorts. Oh, that was a fit.
I mean, this Bronny thing is fascinating. And by the way, people, Zach Edey movement shooting video just dropped. I'm in. I'm in now.
He's 3 for 3, right? In that
he was stationary. Now I found a different one as he's going around like it's a 3-point contest. I'm in now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're so predictable.
I'm in. I mean, you give me that type of size, shooting the basketball.
Yeah.
Experienced, a winner.
Just has grown his game every year he's been in college.
He's literally your Brook Lopez now.
No, he's not. He's just not, because like I'm gonna feel really dumb if this guy goes crazy in the pros. I just physically
can't get there.
See it. I can't see it.
He learns to be a passer. He learns from Sabonis. Get him in that system.
I just don't know. Like, even like Bronny, I mean, it's almost the same thing. I kind of laid it out earlier. It's just like,
what's Edie in the first round?
That's a Lakers draft right there.
Bronny in the second.
Yeah. It sounds like Bronny's like locked into the Lakers too. Like, it sounds like they're already, I've never heard anyone just fully commit before the lottery even happens. Like, no, we pretty much know who our second round pick is going to be.
Right.
Like, what is going on? That's what the Lakers are saying. Apparently. That's exactly probably what Bron would say. It's like, you can't look at the numbers. What Bronny does, like, he's got my mind. Like, you can't quantify that. You know, he's just a basketball player. He's just a hooper.
Mind game pod.
Yeah.
That is it. From the 916, Chris, is Markkanen on the Jazz considered a franchise player? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so in the sense of, I don't think the Jazz necessarily think this is a guy that no, I don't think so. I think just because you are your franchise's best player doesn't necessarily mean you're a franchise player. And I think you could, maybe this is where they're going with it. You can maybe argue that that's the case for De'Aaron as well. I just think De'Aaron meets the minimum threshold. We haven't seen Lauri Markkanen be the best player in a playoff series yet even. Mm-hmm. You know, he's been really good for these Jazz teams, but these Jazz teams have been trash. And, I know he had that season in Cleveland that was a bit of a resurgence for him after kind of flaming out in Chicago, but we just haven't seen what a team truly built around Lauri Markkanen can do. He might be talented enough, but I just think he falls more. He, to me, is like the perfect number 2 option right now. Maybe that is symbolic of, you could say the same thing of De'Aaron, but I just think that there's a little bit of a skill gap between Markkanen and De'Aaron.
Yeah.
Personally.
I think De'Aaron, if we're talking the tier list, De'Aaron is above Markkanen.
Markkanen's really talented, though.
I don't think it's particularly close. From the 916, how can Bronny not shoot? Well, 916, 26% from 3. That's how. He shot. This is actually
Someone's been watching too many of those driveway videos.
This is actually insane.
Bronny miss on an
he played 20. Live. He played 25 games, and obviously we know he had the heart situation. What was that, last summer?
That was this past summer.
This past summer. He shot in 25 games. He averaged 19 minutes. Okay. Yeah. He shot 26.7% from 3. He averaged 4.8 points. They are rounding up to get Bronny to 5 points a game. Okay.
Yeah. And USC was not good this year either.
He shot 36% from the field. And this one, now he sounds like a Sacramento King right here. He shot 67% from free throw.
Yeah, and
Bronny James, you are a Sacramento King.
That's the number to look at when they say, like, will your shot translate to the NBA? It's honestly 3-point is the second thing you look at. Free throws is the number one thing you look at. And if you can't hit free throws, why would anyone believe that you can knock down threes at an efficient manner?
Davion Mitchell was a better 3-point shooter coming into the league than Bronny James.
Yeah, he was. He was by the time Davion came out.
He played much longer.
Yeah. I mean, the hope is that because the problem with anybody who's going to say, like, no, Bronny brings this, Bronny brings that, you're talking about high school tape at this point. And let me tell you, I can show you some high school mixtapes. Okay. Bay Area's finest. You got, Ball is Life. There's been some crazy high school mixtapes out there that you can watch and you'll believe anybody is going to be, the next greatest player in the NBA. I'm sure Bronny's no different. I don't think anything we've seen from Bronny playing at a high level, even when Bronny was at Sierra Canyon, there were better players at Sierra Canyon in his high school class, significantly better kids, like top recruits from Sierra Canyon. And, he was good. He was really good, but it's just, I mean, do we even need to explain the fact that if his name is Jeff James, then, it's just not happening. I guess not James, but Jeff, if his name is Jeff George, it's not happening.
I wonder if part of this, Bronny coming out because it is a weak draft. Can you imagine if this wasn't there? That's
a great point.
This is becoming known. And obviously this take could be the coldest of cold takes, freezing cold takes. This is not from Chris and I. The consensus in the league is this is going to be the worst draft in the last 25 years.
Yep.
Okay. And Bronny's going in the second round of what is supposed to be the worst draft in 25 years.
Only because the Lakers are pushing for him to be a second round pick. Or else I don't think there would be any conversation. It would just be he's going to be an undrafted free agent and whoever signs him. I think the only reason he's even being talked about as a legitimate draft prospect is because the Lakers are willing to do it. If not, it would be it'd be like Imani Bates almost last year, where it's, somebody who has OKC. OKC has all of these draft picks. Yeah, what's a flyer on Bronny James going to be? But anybody who's seriously thinking about using their pick to better their team without it just being a random flyer, I just don't think anybody is seriously thinking about drafting LeBron James Jr. Sorry.
It's a package deal.
Yeah, it is, and that's the enticing part too.
Somebody 707 says Bronny, if he gets a high top, he can get to 6'4".
That'd be
the Gerald from Hey Arnold.
At this point, Bron was probably showing some signs of fading, right? Hairline wise. So Bronny's doing pretty well.
Right? Not that young. It did happen quick though. It did happen.
I feel like by the time Bron was like 22. Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's always what I've been told.
It's your mom's dad. I believe it's your mom's dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever your mom's dad does with his hair.
Yeah.
That situation. Yeah.
That's
Well, I
what.
guess
You guys going to be okay?
I believe I'm going to be okay. I mean, look, I'm 34.
Pretty sure I'm going to be fine.
I already got friends who had to come on home.
That's true. Right. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
my little brother had to come on home already. Yeah.
Whoa.
The first one. Yep. It's gonna happen to all of my brothers. I have 3 of them. And I heard the youngest is actually always the first to go too.
He had to come on home, huh?
Yep.
No.
Man, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Hate to see it. Not even 30 yet.
They missed their
That's
prime, too.
crazy. Yeah, I had a
back
couple
in the
buddies.
90s. You could have rocked the bald head and it would have been trendy. Now it's
Right.
like, ugh,
Well, either way, it is.
fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm totally pocketing that. Come on home.
That's not for me.
Love
That's
that.
Bomani.
Okay.
Because Bomani famously.
We love Bomani Jones. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Bomani had to. He was almost a friend of the show. We
was
almost
almost a friend
got
of the
him in
show,
Vegas. Yeah, Bomani had to come on home a long time ago, so
He
he
did,
tells people when they need to come on home.
Yeah. It's a
Wow.
thing. It's definitely a thing. And, I think Bronny and Bryce have been pretty blessed in that sense that I don't think they have to, I don't think they got to come home anytime soon.
You can come home and then leave home like LeBron did.
Yeah. That's a whole separate.
The best
set of
comeback.
issues.
That
Honestly,
comeback was better than the 3-1.
It might be. I really threw you to the ground like that, JJ. It doesn't look great though. That's the problem with Braun is like he clearly got it done too early because like whatever Tom Brady got done, that's looking at least more natural. LeBron still got that swirl in his head don't even get me started on KD.
Well, KD,
that man just needs he needs
He needs help.
KD.
Yeah.
I do not bring KD to Sacramento.
Yeah. No. Bring that man to a barbershop, please. My goodness. That man needs to brush his hair.
Niners, Raiders. Chris got into it. Well,
Yeah.
not got into it, but had a conversation with a delusional Raiders fan. Are you out there? Speak up for yourself. 916-339-1140. Stiles and Watkins, Sackdown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sackdownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
Hi, it's Brian from Bennett's Restaurants. Springtime is a fun time. So to celebrate, we created a new menu of our favorites from Baja. Plenty of new food. Enjoy grilled skirt steak, wild prawns with pineapple, fresh sea bass, and a shrimp tostada with piles of shrimp. Or maybe our fresh empanadas stuffed with carnitas and cheese are more your speed. Enjoy our newest dessert, Kylie's Churros with a vanilla cream center. Visit Bennett'sRestaurants.com and come enjoy our new Baja menu today. Eat well, stay well.
Winter's gone, so there's no excuses for missing out on Sacramento's premier country festival, Country in the Park. It's this Friday and Saturday. Don't miss your chance to see
Bradley Gilbert, Dustin Letts, Jake Owen, Walker Hayes, Brian Kelly, Drew Baldridge, Brian Martin, Michael Ray,
Ingrid Andress, Priscilla Block,
Chase Matthew.
Tickets are only $46 per day. Buy your tickets now at CITPfest.com. That's CITPfest.com. Or take your chances at the gate. Brought to you by Juno Restaurant and Lounge, Vernick Academy, and Fieldhouse American Sports Pub.
Capital Casino has been serving the greater Sacramento area in the same convenient downtown location for over 20 years, with plenty of close-by, well-lit parking monitored by security staff and offering the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Best food, best service, and the best action. That's Capital Casino. For more information on tournaments and gaming, check out their website at capital-casino.com. And please remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Kevin Lewis with National Garage Door, reminding you that in Sacramento, National Garage Door is the king of garage doors. We service, sell, and install garage doors and openers. Call us today for your basketball special. A new 16x7 Rainer garage door with installation and a belt drive opener for only $24.49 installed. Give us a call today, 916-638-4554.
638-4554 National Garage Door.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Since you probably can't afford your own sports psychologist, Golf Monthly's Fergus Bissett offers 5 golf psychology tips to help you play better. First, stay in the present. If your mind is ahead of you, how can you focus on the shot at hand? Second, every shot is a new challenge. The objective of every shot is to get the ball in the hole in the least amount of strokes. Go do it. 3, the past is the past. Many of us dwell on the past. Not good. Clear your mind and move on to the next shot. 4, never surrender. Some give up on their rounds too quickly. Your fortunes on the course can change with one swing or one decent break. Lastly, stay positive on the greens. If you're having one of those days where the putts don't drop, focus on the positives. If you're putting on your intended line, that's a good thing. Keep it up and they'll begin to fall. And remember, it's a game, so go out there and have some fun. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, and other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-934-9217. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-934-9217 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217.
Maida Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT 5.3 liter in stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from.
Exclusive all in-stock pricing at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details and 6324.
Sunrise Marketplace invites you to the region's best backyard hangout on May 18th, featuring craft breweries, home brewers, food trucks, games, live music, and more. Use discount code BREW24 for $5 off general admission tickets now at shopsmp.com and help support Citrus Heights Art and Citrus Heights Rotary.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
In the 209, LA is shouting that they're taking Bronny in round 2 because LeBron has hopes of him going late first round to a playoff team.
That is an interesting chestnut checkers kind of game. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it is that is a good point. Like, if you are just out here saying, no, we're going to take him, regardless of if that's your actual intention or not, it does make people think, okay, well, if we do want Bronny, we're going to have to trade in front of wherever the Lakers are. I think it's at 52, which is pretty much already at the end of the draft. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to get in front of the Lakers if you're going to want to get him. So I guess I can understand how this could be Rich Paul doing, being the master puppeteer or whatever. So, that definitely makes sense. But, whatever. If the Lakers want to draft Bronny, I actually think us here in Sacramento should be championing it 100%. Go ahead and waste your second round pick.
Yeah.
There's nobody who's ever been good in the second round. So you might as well just waste it on one of your best players' sons, right? No need to try and actually build out your team. Just Nepo it up, get Clay there while you're at it.
They're trying to put butts in the
vibes
seats.
vibing. Isn't that something, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Lakers trying to put butts in the seats instead of winning games.
As we talk about making it to the big leagues, there could be a little preview of some big league baseball in Sacramento. Blake Snell, this is from Susan Slesser. Blake Snell, who is rehabbing, making his way back to the Giants, he told Susan he might need one more rehab outing with the River Cats. His conditioning isn't where he wants yet after 2+ weeks without being able to do any running. He will discuss what's next with team doctors and officials this week. So you have Blake Snell, who might be in Sacramento, and the Giants just promoted Reggie Crawford to the River Cats. And let me tell you guys something about Reggie Crawford, all right? He came in as a two-way player. This guy is a monster.
Yeah.
This guy's jacked.
He looks like Aaron Judge.
He looks like Aaron Judge. Yeah. I've never seen a pitcher that yoked.
He's massive. Like the pictures of him, I think it was during or before spring training. Yeah. He was taking pictures, and this dude's a unit. Like he looks like he's like 6'5", maybe like 220, 230. And I'm like, why did you guys take the bat out of his hands?
I don't know.
Why was that done? He better be really, really nasty on the mound if you're going to take a bat out of that dude's hands, because I don't know how tall he is, but he looks like a Paul Bunyan figure where he looks like he's about 6'5" and 100% muscle. So, I really hope he's throwing gas if they're going to take the bat out of his hands.
He does. And he's been doing really well, and now he will be joining the Sacramento squad. So you can check out a future big leaguer. I've already been. I'm going back. I'm going back again soon.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old.
Really?
They have him listed at 6'4", 235. It's a big boy.
That's not messing around, man. That is not messing around. And so they have completely erased the two-way play for him.
He is not hitting anymore as far as I know. Yeah, it's a little early, I thought. And they did the same thing with Bryce Eldridge, who's another two-way guy that they drafted, and now he's only a hitter.
I believe he's just a first base.
Yeah, and they only have him at first base. So, could have some exciting things happening at Sutter Health to prepare you for the A's coming next season. A little bit of big league action there. All right, Chris, let's get to this Raiders conversation.
Let's do it.
And your delusional Raiders fan friend who is kind of getting you juiced up on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, I was having a conversation with somebody on Saturday, and essentially the gist of it is that Gardner Minshew will be enough to get the Raiders to playoff contention. I think is where I'll try and settle the conversation at, is just being in the, last couple weeks, the Raiders aren't out of it. And a big part of the belief and the thought process is essentially, the Raiders were one of the best teams in football in the second half by record, and Antonio Pierce and what he brought culture-wise over to the Vegas Raiders. I just think, I wonder, how much of it is, and this is more so my ignorance, and I definitely do not claim to know a lot about AP and his history. I do know, obviously, he was the linebacker for the Giants, and he was undrafted, I believe. So that definitely says something about the kind of guy he is. If you're able to, have the headset in your helmet as an undrafted player and win a Super Bowl with you as the linebacker, I think that's definitely saying something. But I just don't know if they have enough of or more specifically, Antonio Pierce is enough of an X and O's defensive mastermind to make this thing work. It's one thing, it's the rah-rah versus X and O's. It's the conversation we had a lot in the playoffs, more so talking about Dan Campbell. Okay, I know Antonio Pierce fits all of the vibe stuff.
The Raider aesthetic.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you do have to be a great coach and or have assistants in place, coordinators in place that are going to do the work of a Mike McDaniel type of guy. If you have Sean McVay as your coordinator, obviously Shanahan and all these guys, unless you're going to have one of that, I don't know if there's enough there to elevate the situation. I think they're going to be pesky. I think, again, 6 wins, 7 wins feels right to me. Anything above that, I feel like would be a surprise. I just don't think – I think the Raiders would have to have a top 5 defense. I understand their defense was great in the second half of the season when Brandon Graham had more control, but I just think they have to be a top 5 defense in order for them to be even remotely near the playoff conversation. And then on the offensive end, you know, it's as simple as getting Devontae Adams the ball, but you know, it really hasn't, like, they haven't been able to do it. And so I guess the argument really was just that Gardner Minshew would be able, if you put him in the right offense, obviously it's not going to be an air raid system. It's going to be more of just getting Devontae the ball in space. But even then, can Gardner Minshew make tough plays enough and elevate the team? Because at some point, it's not a Brock Purdy thing where, you know, you have so many fail safes built in. At some point, Gardner Minshew is going to have to make plays. I believe in Gardner Minshew as a very fringe. To me, he's like the 25th best starting quarterback every year, which you could say it's disrespectful. I would tell you that's kind of in a weird way a compliment.
Yeah.
I just don't know how often he's going to be able to raise the level of that team.
Here are the Raiders, right? Obviously, you got to deal with the Chiefs.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's twice. You got to deal with the Chargers.
Depends
and
how you
now
feel about
Harbaugh.
them.
And okay, fine. The Broncos, it's a little bit different there.
Sure.
But their home games, obviously Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, then they get the Browns, Steelers.
Tough. Not, I mean, you
know, Falcons. I mean, they're going to be better.
In theory is tough.
Right?
On
Fine.
paper.
Panthers, they'll probably stink again. Sure. And then you have the Jags, who the Jaguars.
We'll see. That'll be around the Raiders.
That's pretty tough, right? Then they got to go on the road. Obviously, again, Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers. You got to go to Baltimore.
Nope.
You got to go to Cincinnati.
Nope.
You got to go to New Orleans.
Derek
That's a Derek Carr
Carr
revenge game. You got to go to Tampa. You got to go to Miami, and you got to go to LA. I mean, it's 8 wins again. That's 8.
I think it's 8. Yeah, I think it's 6 to 8, maybe 9, but I can't see it. And then again, the backfield to me is the thing that really stamps to me that there's no way there's going to be a miracle season. I just can't see Zamir White and Alexander Mattison being good enough running backs to support Gardner Minshew. If I'm any team going against the Raiders, I'm just doubling Devontae and I'm saying, go ahead. Like Brock, maybe that's the thought of bringing Brock Bowers in. That takes some of the pressure off of that. But I think at the end of the day, even though it's a passing league more so than ever, you have to have some sort of run game at the very least. And if you're telling me you have a below average quarterback and you have a below average running back room, I would argue you could maybe make the case that those are bottom 5 in both of those spots. I don't see where a miracle that would be what it would take. I would think it would take a miracle for the Raiders to have frankly a winning season.
Yeah,
and the defense to me is the X factor. If the defense is somehow so great that they can keep them in games and truly it does become Gardner Minshew just game managing the game, that could be how they could surprise people. But I don't know if I see that for the defense. I just don't.
Coming up next, another guard in the Western Conference may become available via trade. You interested? What is his height without shoes on is really the question. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
My good friends, Dr. Jack Friedlander and Dr. Pash in Roseville and in San Francisco are offering not only confidence, not only security, but also the ability, if you ain't insecure, to go from the roster to the all-star team. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about upsizematters.com. Time after time, vote after vote, circumference, or as we call it, girth, is consistently ranked as the most important attribute. And Dr. Jack and Dr. Pash can give you a free consultation. The procedure can be done on the same day as your consultation with immediate results. It's non-surgical. It's virtually pain-free, safe, effective, long-lasting, semi-permanent, and doctor-performed. For more information, go to upsizematters.com. Go to upsizematters.com. Make that change. Make the all-star team. Get your girth on.
Want more speed? Well, Xfinity just increased their internet speeds, and they're faster than ever. It's time to get more out of your internet with faster speeds from Xfinity. Now through June 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for only $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. That's double the speed for the same great price. Click, call, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and other charges extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The countdown to Miss Twin Peaks 2024 is on. Head over to MissTwinPeaks2024.com to learn about the contest and cast your 5 votes for your favorite Twin Peaks girl.
At Progressive, we know how much you love your recreational vehicles, so we decided to record this commercial in an RV.
With a family on vacation.
Mom, who are these people? Oh, that's Flo and Jamie. They're recording a commercial, sweetie. Don't they do that in the studio?
Normally.
No.
But we wanted to feature a family who bundled their home and RV and saved with Progressive.
Yeah, it looks like you're all out of chips.
Okay, I think we'll just drop you off at the next gas station.
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
This segment is brought to you by Aztec Solar. Skip the sales pitch. Calculate your solar savings at yourpowersavings.com.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
A lot of news coming out. NBA from Mike Scotto. Rival executives are monitoring the potential availability of one Malcolm Brogdon leading up to the draft with Portland's young guards. Brogdon would likely fetch them another first-round pick from a contender if he's made available. If you lose Malik Monk, I mean, I like Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Not for a first-rounder. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to hope it's like a late first-round pick or something like that. I mean, Portland doesn't have much use for him. He's just kind of wasting away. He won Sixth Man of the Year last season, so it's definitely somebody who, like you said, if Malik Monk is going to go, you could do a whole lot worse than bringing in a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, who pretty much does all the things that you like from Malik Monk, except not really as flashy, not nearly as much flair, not nearly as much as athleticism, but just a real basketball player, as Mike Brown would call him. Not really super I don't want to say entertaining, but it just, again, not flashy, but will get the numbers and is about as solid of a ball handler as you're going to get.
You do want another ball handler for the Kings, and if you lose Malik, especially if you lose Malik Monk, and even with Malik Monk, I mean, it's always better to have more. Also, Chris, and this goes to that window, right? And this goes to, I'll tell you what, this conversation that we've had about De'Aaron Fox today, and I haven't even told you this, it really has kind of made me maybe rethink the Keegan Murray thing. Not, and I still don't want to move off of Keegan, but when you start thinking about, okay, you're in year 8 with De'Aaron, and now you're waiting for a Keegan Murray leap that you hope happens. And we've talked about making a big move and what that looks like and what that means. I just think that anything is possible. It has to be, right? Because I'm looking here, and this is from Woj. The Rockets are likely to make the number 3 overall pick available in trade discussions for a win now piece. After aggressively pursuing him at the trade deadline, don't be surprised if Houston circles back around with the Nets on Mikal Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
These teams are not stopping.
No.
These teams are not stopping. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to be more and more. The Spurs are going to get in the mix.
Sure.
The Grizzlies are going to get back in the mix. The Warriors are going to do something. The Lakers are going to do something. I just think, again, it's just more of me thinking that I sound like Kevin Garnett. Anything is possible.
No, for sure.
Anything has to be possible.
Yeah, exactly.
The wild, wild west, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's more just to like, there's levels. Like, in what game do the Kings like? Do they want to go bargain hunting? Essentially, is going to be the question, because you're right. Like, if Houston, if San Antonio again, who has 2 top 10 picks, Houston a top 3 pick and some young players. The Kings might, if they're going to get into a bidding war for the top tier guys, they're going to have to be able to pay the price or be willing to pay the price to get it over the hump, because you could maybe say, yeah, the Kings can be competitive with some offers. They won't have to throw in Keegan and they can still be competitive. But if there's 3 to 4 teams that you're competing against, you want to have the best one. And that unfortunately means throwing in Keegan Murray. And that's just got to be a game that you have to figure out where you fall on the balancing act of, okay, yes, we're going all in, but at what cost? And would it maybe be a better asset management to, yeah, we're not taking the big swing on a Mikal Bridges or a Brandon Ingram, but again, maybe Jeremy Grant's less of a cost. Maybe Kyle Kuzma's less of a cost. Maybe whoever your favorite forward option is less of a cost. That's going to have to be the thing the Kings have to figure out, is the calculation of, is Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma good enough, or do we have to go out and get that certain quality or caliber of star, or else this thing's just it's going to grit and grind Grizzly, where, yeah, we can maybe bring in Jeremy Grant or Kyle Kuzma, but if that's our only move, we might only plateau at a conference final. And we feel like if we go all in on a Mikal or on a Brandon Ingram, we feel like that can maybe at least put us in title contention.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to figure out. And that's why they get the big bucks, is because we're no longer talking about, guys who fit a mold. You're talking about, no, we need to have a true Ringer 100 list, athletic top 10 player. You need to have an official list of, okay, is the drop off from Mikal Bridges to Jeremy Grant super significant? If you don't feel like it is, then you're going to say, well, this is a steal. We're getting a guy who we don't have marked as that big of a difference from Jeremy Grant, but the price is completely different. So that's going to have to be the game that Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox play all summer. It's a fun one, but it's also incredibly stressful, because when you do the thing that the Kings are doing, and that's being patient and waiting for the right opportunity, well, that means that there's more pressure to get it right. The one thing about being a volume shooter is, like the Phoenix Suns, they're going to keep shooting, but they're going to bring in names. And at some point, the thought is something's going to stick at some point. If you're the Kings and you're really putting all of your eggs in one basket, and then you're going to say, okay, we're going to make the move, and then we're going to give it legs to work out and figure itself out. That's adding to the timeline. You better make sure that the one move you make is going to be the right move for the right person.
And the thing
or
is,
whatever, however many moves it is.
But they could have a plan. But the thing is, there's going to be a lot of assets out here during the offseason, right? I mean, the names are the names, but there's also a lot of teams trying to get those assets. So even if they have this, hey, we have this secret plan and we're going to bring in just one of the stars, and I'm sure I would assume they already have this. Yeah, it's Sacramento. We understand that there are going to be other suitors that might have more to give and better packages. They need to have about 7 different directions to go in case plan A doesn't work out, plan B, plan C, because there's so many people. Like Chris, I hadn't even thought about the Rockets. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, right.
I hadn't even thought about the Rockets.
Yeah, that's a team that's just kind of floundering, right? Like they have a bunch of young guys, but at the same time, they're clearly trying to get better. It would make sense for them to be in all of these conversations too. So that's another team that you got to worry about. And the Rockets have I think they ended up in the top 4 as well.
But
so
they have that
the
third,
3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the number 3 pick as well. So, that's a really, really dangerous situation. Maybe the Kings' thought process too can be, we keep talking about them maybe being the team that's going out and being aggressive. They might again just say, well, sounds like deals are going to be happening. Can we be the third team in this? Can we make salaries work so that maybe we can get some good players, some good pieces over here just to make the deals work? There's a lot of different ways that they can shape this thing out without them being the primary aggressors or the facilitators of these trades. But no, you're not wrong in thinking and looking at the landscape and saying, boy, there's a lot of teams that are contending for trades and a lot of teams that have more than what the Kings have to offer. If the Rockets really want somebody, if they really, really identify Brandon Ingram as a guy that they want, they can just go get him. And, I think the Kings could too, but the cost that it would be for the Rockets is Cam Whitmore, the 3rd pick in the draft, maybe some future picks. To your point, the Kings, if they want to say, forget this, we need Brandon Ingram, that's like Keegan, a first round, well, maybe not Brandon Ingram, Mikal Bridges, Keegan Murray, first round picks, and maybe some other young people. It might be Keon, might be Colby, might be Davion, who knows? They're going to have to give up a lot to do it. A lot of like guys who actually play for them, where Houston, 3rd pick in the draft, Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, all of these guys are, they're young, exciting prospects, but they're not actually hurting the daily win-loss for Houston.
You cannot miss the playoffs again.
You can't. No, you can't. If you're the Kings, no.
I don't know, if that means going out.
Somebody is getting fired if the Kings miss the playoffs.
Somebody is getting fired if the Kings miss the playoffs.
If not multiple somebodies.
Because, there's some teams that are maybe aging out, but then you have, we've mentioned the Spurs. Right? The Spurs nobody is just.
Memphis, Houston.
Right.
Utah. If Utah is going to do something this year.
Utah.
They're in a weird spot where they were 11th, right? They finished 11th this year. You think they want to go back? No, they're trying to say, we're at 11. How do we just get to 10? How do we get to 9? How do they maybe get to 6 or 7? Like, there's going to be a lot of teams who are looking to get a lot better, and especially a team like Utah. That's a team that has tons of – that's a team to actually be afraid of if they want to go all in on somebody. They still have the John Collins contract too. So they have best of both worlds, where they have picks, they have young players, they have – established veterans who are on decent contracts. There's a lot of scary teams out there if you're the Kings. You just have to, again, you might just have to opportunity hunt too, where, all the focus is on Brandon Ingram right now. Now would be the opportunity to slide into Mikal Bridges conversations or whoever it is.
Continue with the Kings talk when we get back. Also, a funny story on really perception versus reality when it comes to winning championships. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
Going deep down the sideline for Ayu. He's got it, and he's gone. 10, 5, touchdown! San Francisco! Ayu is on fire!
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit Optima.
And they have teams that are going to be in there. And one team that was in there was pretty funny to me is Alabama. Now, Nick Saban is not associated with Alabama anymore, but he had a lot to say about the NIL. And meanwhile, Alabama is in an NIL-driven tournament. And you have Alabama, Creighton, Houston, Notre Dame, Oregon, Rutgers, San Diego State, and Texas A&M have committed to play in the event. It will be in November, and these kids can literally win money if they win the tournament. Millions of dollars.
Sounds dope to me. I mean, I don't see what's, if they're going to have the NIL be available, something like this seems really cool. I mean, this seems to be what would drive a college kid. I mean, I can't think of if you're going to put $1 million in front of college kids, I think that'll definitely get the sense of urgency that I think you're looking for in a midseason tournament. And it's going to be in Vegas too. This to me is like the NCAA's version of the in-season tournament almost, right, where I think this is going to, they had the Champions Classic or whatever with Duke and Kentucky and Kansas and Michigan State. Yeah. And that was okay. I think for the first couple of years they had it, but to me, this is like the blown out version. I'm seeing here in 26, they or 25. They hope to expand this thing to 16 teams, adding Duke, Gonzaga, Kansas, Michigan, Virginia, Syracuse. This sounds like it's going to get huge. And event organizers are in the final negotiation stages to hold games at T-Mobile Arena, the MGM Grand, and they're going to blow this thing out in November, which is I think this is going to be leading into Thanksgiving as well. Like, this is going to be a huge tournament. Yeah, it's November 26th, 27th, and 29th, with Thanksgiving being the off day.
It says the tournament would be unique in that the NIL collective of each participating school would be paid $1 million. Additional significant NIL opportunities to believe to be in the neighborhood of another $1 million would be awarded exclusively to the winner or winners of the event, depending on the final bracket format. The money would then be distributed to athletes by the collectives. Right. The athletes, while in Vegas, would be required to participate in multiple off-the-court activities to earn that NIL money. That quid pro quo agreement for NIL money is a key distinction and at the core of the appeal of the festival. Pay for play remains against NCAA rules. However, athletes can be paid for NIL work surrounding the actual games, which is the pitch here.
Interesting. So there's potential for a $2 million. So just for entering the tournament, you get $1 million in NIL. And then if you win, you get
another $1 million.
Interesting. I mean, that definitely does it. And I think college basketball teams, 15 players, $1 million, like 85,000 a player. That'll do it. And that's for everybody. That's That's the last guy on the team, the walk-on, I would assume, all the way up to the best player. That's dope. I mean, to me, this is what the NIL should be, is that everybody is getting paid off of their image and likeness. And, the fact that they're bringing eyes and attention to the tournament makes sense to me, that they at least get something out of this. So I definitely think this is cool. I think this could be the start of something that becomes huge in the future, like a true showcase where, right now it is just everybody watches the tournament and that's the only thing they watch. I know Maui Invitational and these kind of smaller tournaments used to mean something in college basketball. I think this could maybe be the 2.0 or whatever version of this, where with NIL money, it's these big tournaments that actually mean something to the players again. And I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be something that we look back on and say, wow, that was a huge success for the rare dub for the NCAA.
Right. And yeah, at least just getting on board with it in whatever capacity, because
do it in other sports too. Like, could you imagine a baseball one
that'd be
like
great.
in the middle of the season or I guess maybe they could blow out the end of season tournament more, but I don't see how this, do it in women's basketball.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it in football, but I think this is a great precedent to set for the NIL. If they can do some legislated tournaments, I think this is a really, really cool idea for college.
From the college to the pros, Jeff Teague, and he's pretty hilarious on his
He's number one for me.
So basically, he's telling a story about what happened after the championship, and you can imagine, when like I said, my wife had a girls' weekend, so my mom came out and I got to spend some time with my buddy. So guys' night out, and what people imagine what is going on versus what really happened. So you could only imagine after an NBA championship, you're imagining this thing is lit.
Yeah.
They're doing this, they're doing that. Well, Jeff Teague, and it's kind of fitting and funny being Milwaukee, Jeff Teague tells a story about what happened after they won the championship.
What's going on in Milwaukee?
Bro, I just said I ain't care that we won. Like, we won a chip. I ain't care, bro. Our after party was trash, bro. Look, I had better times at Lil Willville, bro.
Every championship team I know, they gas up the jet and they
Well,
go.
not this one. Me, PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis, we like, yo, let's go to Vegas, y'all. Or this party, it ain't no party in Milwaukee. It was probably like 20 people in the little venue we was at. Wasn't nothing going on. So we asked Giannis, you want to go to Vegas? He said, no, I'm going to celebrate with my family. And once Giannis said it's over, it's over. Like, I got in my truck and I drove back home to Indianapolis so I can hang out with my friends, bro. I said, you just won the championship.
So that's it.
Crazy.
They just won the championship
and then went home. Like it's me on like rec league softball or something. Like, after the game, let's go down to the bars and then all right, guys, on to Friday. Like, no, what
he goes on to say
J.R. Smith had his shirt off for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. He goes on to say he goes home and his friend sees him online. He was playing video games. He was playing 2K. The night he won a championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you come home to. I'll be like, bro, what are you doing here?
He literally said, why are you here?
Yeah, you should not be. That's insane. I mean,
brutal.
In a way, like I do not appreciate, but I would maybe be somebody who would say I might want to throw, like have a party of 15 rather than let's go out and do the big old thing. So I can respect that. But at the same time, you just won a championship. And like, this is never, I mean, Jeff Teague played in the league a long time. I would have hopped on to Vegas. That's for sure. Me and PJ would have been on the PJ to Vegas. 1,000%.
Oh, you don't even want if I wanted.
You would have made stop. You would have picked people up on the way. It's like, we could stop in Chicago. We could pick up, I don't know, some pizza.
I would,
kinds of stops.
It
on
would
the way.
be insane.
You wouldn't be able to tell me. It'd be a problem.
Wow.
I don't see how you could do that. And also, like, I'm not going to let Giannis ruin my time.
Yeah.
That's weird. Just
right. I guess it just kind of killed the vibes, but.
Is that fair or foul for Giannis to say, I want to go celebrate with my family instead of celebrating with my team?
You can't say that's foul.
No, that's fair. But that has nothing to do with me. I'm out.
I kind of think that's a little foul. I kind of think that's a little foul.
Why?
Because you have a lot of time to celebrate with your family. This is like the last time your group, y'all just completed this as a team. That is the family that that needs to be celebrated at this moment. You'll have your time to celebrate with your family tomorrow. You can throw a whole barbecue over the weekend.
Those are your brothers.
You're just saying night of.
Night of is party time.
Yeah.
That is, hey, I normally don't do this, but we just won a championship once in a lifetime. Mm-hmm. It is truly a once in a lifetime night. And you called it in because it got a little like it's 11. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing if you're just tired
let's put it in radio terms then. We win whatever coveted award for
radio
the
show
radio. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys going out and riding out?
Absolutely.
Party together?
Absolutely.
Right? That's
Absolutely.
the way it should be.
Yes.
Absolutely. No question. No question. Like, I don't even like it's not even because again, it's not even a question. It's just a built-in like, where are we going tonight?
Yeah.
Because something's happening. We're not just going to sit here and say, hey, it's been a fun season. Hope you have a great summer. See ya. No, like
I celebrate
it's
everything.
Going crazy.
Yeah, we'd be a problem. And if the Kings, the Beam team ever did anything in this holy city, wow.
Where's
you
the
guys?
NASA?
You guys wouldn't be able to find me. I'd be gone.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on with the
Nassas would probably be down to party.
I don't know what's going on with the brothers and the Achilles. The Nassas torn.
How does that happen?
Hoop. That's why you got to podcast more. Hoop less, podcast more. All right, Atlanta. The Hawks get the number 1 pick. What will they do with it? Will they trade it? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, and other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-934-9217. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes, and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-934-9217 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217. 800-934-9217.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Do you hear that? That's your air conditioner working overtime this summer. But it's not just the temperature that's rising, so is your electric bill. Stop paying sky-high rates for your electricity with a solar electric system from Aztec Solar. Finally, you can calculate your monthly savings when you go solar without sitting through a 2-hour in-home sales pitch. Visit yourpowersavings.com and Aztec Solar will text you how much you'll save each month by going solar. Since 1980, Aztec Solar has helped thousands of homeowners with solar pool heating, solar electricity, and backup energy storage. Going solar is like getting an extra paycheck every month. How much will your paycheck be? Find out at yourpowersavings.com. Yourpowersavings.com. Looking for a deal today? Now you can own a solar electric system for just $99.95 cash offer after incentives. Act now. This offer expires soon. Aztec Solar. Solar and only solar since 1980.
My father was a career United States Air Force pilot, and Memorial Day is a reminder of all he and so many others did for our country. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Right now at the annual Memorial Day sale, everything in the store is on sale. Everything. You'll save 10 to 25% on all living rooms, to sofas, to sectionals, to dining rooms, to bedrooms, to home offices, and so much more. Everything is on sale right now at Naturewood Home Furnishings Memorial Day sale. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office. It's all available for you at savings from 10 to 25% at Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishing, off Highway 50 in Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
You've seen the specials on Amazon, Netflix, Showtime, and more. Don't miss an evening with Steve Trevino.
Babe, can I go with Steve and have a drink at the casino? And then she started to speak wife. She looked at him right in the face and she goes, you can do whatever you want. And his dumb goes, told you. I go, oh, no, it's a trap. It's a trap.
Steve Trevino. Saturday, June 1st, the venue at Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss an evening with Steve Trevino.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sacktown Sports.
Atlanta, the Hawks get the #1 pick. Per Jake Fisher, Yahoo, there's a growing belief that Atlanta will consider trading Trae Young this summer. He goes on to say there's a growing belief among rival teams that this summer will also put all-star Trae Young on the league's trade block. Perhaps Atlanta will look to attach the top pick to one of those players in their upcoming trade conversations. What is the value on Trae Young? I mean, you talk about the tiers. I think De'Aaron, I don't even know if Trae Young is a franchise guy. I'm pretty sure De'Aaron is. I don't even know if Trae Young is.
Yeah, the defense is
it's atrocious.
It's terrible. It's arguably, and I don't even know if it is arguable, the worst defense in the NBA. Like that's honest. I mean, he's small, he's short, he's skinny, and he just doesn't have very good lateral foot movement. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. Is he can't keep people in front of him. He doesn't necessarily have the desire to keep people in front of him, and people can just shoot over him. So, it's again, like we were talking about with Zach Edey almost, where he has to be 30 and 10 every single night to almost justify his shortcomings on defense. And that's the reality of the situation with Trae Young. Ridiculous offensive player, but you have to have somebody next to him, which was the thought with bringing in DeJounte Murray, the best guard defender in the NBA potentially, is that it would be able to cover up what Trae doesn't do. And even then, I think we saw it didn't work out.
With Trae Young and the Hawks about to blow this thing up and move forward with Jalen Johnson and
that's it.
Else.
Just Jalen Johnson.
And that's it. And yeah, earlier we read
AI players.
People are so down on this draft. They consider the draft to be starting at 6 or 7. I've never read something like that.
I haven't either.
People think that this draft is so bad. There's essentially no top 5 picks. The draft is essentially starting at pick 6 or 7.
Right.
I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah. And that's usually where the Kings pick. And so I think a lot of people in Sacramento understand that that's like, okay, I mean, you didn't miss, you're not talking about like very, best player on a team, Cade Cunningham's franchise players you're drafting. You're talking about somebody you're hoping develops into your number 2 option. That's like the hope at 7 is that you're bringing in a Ben McLemore, a guy who has, he's got a nice looking shot. He's crazy athletic, but he doesn't seem to have the aggression. He can't really dribble. And there's a lot of tools there, but you don't see it on the floor necessarily. So, that's very telling in terms of just where this draft is at, that the top picks are guys that you're looking at and saying, well, they have tools that I think might work maybe in the right situation.
It is quite the year You know, we talk about Bronny and Zach Edey. It's a down year, but what's going to happen is people will. This is what always happens with drafts. It's not normally this bad, but once we get closer, people will convince themselves. Hey, this guy could have a high ceiling. What Connect from
Dalton
Tennessee,
Connect,
Dalton Connect.
People
He
love
had
him.
one of the highest.
I believe the highest vertical so far.
So a lot of people are starting to say here's a guy that could do some things for you. Where are you at on DeJounte Murray? Because if the Hawks are blowing this thing up, I like DeJounte Murray. Yeah. But would you count him in the wing category? He's a guard. Talk about we need that guy. He's a dog on defense.
Defensively, I think he could guard some big twos. I don't know about threes, but I think he can guard. He's 6'7" with like a 6'10" wing. He's like crazy, like just like a freak almost with his limbs. I would love DeJounte Murray. I think he's definitely more of a 2 or a 3 option, but I really, really like him. He's somebody who's capable of pop. He's pretty much, I think he's like a bigger Drew Holiday, honestly. Like, I think he's the perfect kind of glue guy that any contender should dream to have.
It's interesting. He kind of reminds me of De'Aaron Fox, where when they came into the league, the threes were the question mark. And it felt like he shot the 3 ball pretty well this season. He just started taking more of them. But I would maybe wonder with De'Aaron's shooting, started out hot, then cooled off. I would worry about if you replace Kevin Huerter with DeJounte Murray. I would maybe, and look, even though Kevin Huerter didn't shoot the ball great, I might worry about spacing a little bit on a team like that.
For sure. I think the thing that you would take as the trade-off is that would definitely be the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. And I don't even think it's a question. If you have De'Aaron Fox, who just led the NBA in steals, and then you add DeJounte Murray, who's got probably the longest wingspan of any guard in the NBA, maybe with the exception of Shea. And he's somebody who in his past, I mean, listen to this. This is DeJounte Murray's career steals. First season, 0.2 steals. Second season, 1.2. Third season, 1.7. Season after that, 1.5. Then led the league with 2 steals a game. And then 2 seasons in Atlanta, 1.5 steals, 1.4 steals. So you're talking about almost 3 to 3.5 steals per game out of your guards. And that's just ridiculous ball pressure. And I think that DeJounte has been a name that's been thrown out with the Kings before. It's a question of, kind of, I would maybe say like a Zach LaVine of, he's been very openly on the trade block. At what point is his value maybe not, when we say the bargain hunting, maybe his value isn't anywhere near what Brandon Ingram's is. And maybe you could end up, again, while everyone's focused on Brandon Ingram and Mikal Bridges, you slide in and you say, Atlanta, we know you're trying to get the ball rolling here on the trades. Let's get DeJounte and whatever. We'll give you, I guess they might not want Kevin Huerter back,
right?
But maybe you can figure out a situation where you can make that trade work out for them.
That might be a situation where Keon,
right?
Because they're going young.
Exactly.
So.
That's a great point. Right. Keon, Davion,
right.
Harrison to get the contract somewhere near. I don't know how much. I think DeJounte is making up in the 30s. Actually, no, DeJounte Murray might have to get added to this big fish list if this contract that I'm seeing here is still on tap. He signed a 4-year. Yeah, DeJounte Murray's making $25 million next season. He just signed an extension this past offseason with Atlanta, making 25 this year, 27 the year after that, 29 after that. His contract is a player option in 27-28 for $31 million, which you would probably assume he turns down because he can make a lot more than that. But essentially, you have him locked up for the next 3 seasons.
They're going to want picks.
That makes
Atlanta.
sense to me.
If you're not a contender, you want picks.
Yeah, exactly.
So
give him 13, maybe remove some protections on that pick. Let's make it happen, please. I'm sick and tired of talking about these Atlanta
13 and another pick.
Yeah. Because that could be the easiest thing, right? Because the Kings are locked up in terms of trading their future picks because Atlanta has the rights to that 24 or 25 and 26 pick. Maybe you can say, here, take 13 and then just take our 26. We just want to know which picks we have to work with. So just take one of the picks that you have the protections on, 2 first-round picks, and make the salaries match.
Well, so HB.
It would be HB, and I mean, if you're only having to get
Keegan to the 4
up to 25, yeah, I mean, I would probably say that there's another move that needs to be made, but I think Keegan's future, I've been thinking about it a lot recently. I definitely think Keegan's future is more so at the 4. I think he's more of a modern day 4 than a 3, just from the guy that we've seen here recently. I think he would have to, if he can be better with the ball in his hands, more so playmaking, like actually playmaking, not just pick and roll playmaking, but finding open shooters and things like that. That's where maybe Keegan can be a 3, but I just haven't seen enough of the ball handling to believe Keegan's necessarily somebody I would lock in as the Kings' future 3.
From the 916, is Trae Young a smaller Buddy Hield?
He's a better Buddy Hield. He's definitely, I mean, yes, but
he's the Michael Jordan of Buddy Hield.
Yes, there you go. He's the Michael Jordan of Buddy Hield is probably the best way of putting it. Because he's like the best possible version. Like Trae is nasty. That's the catch-22 with Trae is like the offensive numbers are there.
Yeah.
It's just there's the tax. I think this might be a new thing that we might have stumbled on is the Trae Young tax is yes, you get 30 and you get some Steph Curry deep shots, but he's also going to get blown by every single time. But if you're a team like the Lakers, who's been the team that Trae Young's most linked to, what better way? If you have a turnstile up front, you got AD back there. There's no better player to have there. And that's why I think Minnesota is another name where, if they get eliminated in this second round and they blow a 2-0 lead heading home, maybe they say Karl Anthony Towns for Trae Young. To me, that's the easiest. Hey, we don't really want this. You don't really want that. I think Trae Young could help you get to where you want to go. And I think Cat can be a name and a face that Atlanta shoves out there. And again, you have Rudy Gobert behind Trae Young. There's not a better person you could pair Trae Young with than Rudy Gobert. And I would say maybe even vice versa. There's not a better person you could pair with Rudy Gobert than the offensive machine that is Trae Young. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a crazy summer.
When we return, crosstalk with the Drive Guys, Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Domantas Sabonis plays here.
He finds Sabonis. Put the frosting on the cake. Put the cherry on the sundae. Sabonis with a two-hand flush makes it 114-106.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
This time of year can mean only one thing: Jeeps, Jeeps, and more Jeeps. It's Jeep season at Lodi Jeep Superstore. Leonard Harrington here, and I can't wait to tell you about what we've got going on, because we're talking Jeeps and big savings too. Now you can get the 2024 Jeep Compass Sport 4x4 for only $26,999. That's right, just $26,999. And of course, it comes loaded with features like rear view camera, power tailgate, blind spot monitor, Bluetooth, four-wheel drive, and much more for only $26,999.
More than 5 available with this offer. MSRP $27,495. Lodi CDJR discount $496. Net price $26,999. See dealer for details. Offer ends 5/31/24.
We're talking Jeeps. We're talking big savings too during the Jeep season, going on now at the Lodi Jeep Superstore, right off 99 in Kettleman, where we're open till 9 every night and Sundays after church.
Prices are better at the Low Price Center. Lodi Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Visit us at LodiCDJR.com.
Winter's gone, so there's no excuses for missing out on Sacramento's premier country festival, Country in the Park. It's this Friday and Saturday. Don't miss your chance to see
Bradley Gilbert, Dustin Letch, Jake Owen, Walker Hayes,
Brian Kelly,
Drew Baldridge,
Brian Martin,
Michael Ray,
Ingrid Andress, Priscilla Block,
Chase Matthew.
Tickets are only $46 per day. Buy your tickets now at CITPFest.com. That's CITPFest.com. Or take your chances at the gate. Brought to you by Junior Restaurant and Lounge, Gurnick Academy, and Fieldhouse American Sports Pub.
Weekends are for Sacramento Rivercats baseball. Join us Friday, May 17th for a Patrick Bailey bobblehead to the first 2,500 fans, presented by Jackson Rancheria Casino Resort. Saturday, May 18th is Salute to Armed Forces Night, presented by Budweiser, with a pregame flyover by the U.S. Air Force. Stick around postgame for a fireworks show presented by Sutter Health. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com.
Sunrise Marketplace invites you to the region's best backyard hangout on May 18th, featuring craft breweries, home brewers, food trucks, games, live music, and more. Use discount code BREW24 for $5 off general admission tickets now at shopsmp.com and help support Citrus Heights Heart and Citrus Heights Rotary.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Joined by Whitey Gleason. Chris is rejoicing here in the studio as the Lions make Jared Goff their guy. 4-year deal at $212 million, $170 guaranteed.
Woo! Love it, man. Lions are just
Chris doesn't like the Lions.
Big spenders. They spent like I just saw the number. They have spent $444 million in contracts extensions to 3 players. Jared Goff, 4 years, $212. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 years, $120. Penei Sewell, 4 years, $112.
It pays to be competitive.
Woof, woof.
It pays to be
just to lose to the Niners in the conference championship.
I believe it has made him the highest paid player in franchise history, if
Love
I'm
it.
not mistaken.
Oh, he deserves it. He deserves it.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Number one.
Bay Area's
overall pick.
finest, right?
Bay Area's finest.
That's right.
Cal Berkeley.
Yeah. That was a interesting time. Yeah. I like Jared Goff a lot. Like the thought of Jared Goff, but I'd never really understood the number 1 first overall pick. Like, what were you buying into with Goff? That's the part
Was that the bear raid offense?
Yeah,
they had the bear raid offense, and honestly, bringing it back to the NBA, we'd have to look back through it, but that felt like one of those drafts that just wasn't a very good draft, and it wasn't supposed to be a very good draft.
Right. Because I get like Jared Goff does all of the tools, and I mean he just got paid because he's been great, but like I just never saw what the talent upside, like where's the 6'5", 245 pounds built like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert 6'6" and just a huge guy. And I know Jared's pretty big, but it just you never saw like he's crazy athletic or anything like that. It was just this guy is a really solid quarterback, and you should take that at number 1. It's just not usually the thought process.
Well, he is. If you talk to people, it would feel like he is on the outs. They're not quarterbacks like Jared Goff are supposed to be on the way out.
Right.
And I'm looking here. You have Jared Goff went 1, Carson Wentz went 2.
Oof. He just got a job too.
Did he really, Carson Wentz?
Yeah, he just signed with somebody.
I know he was with the
Chiefs?
Rams last year, really
Hanging
randomly.
on.
People were really excited about that. But that, again, Carson Wentz makes sense to me because that's the Josh Allen mold. It's like we're getting this big Cam Newton-like guy, whatever. Like Jared, I guess it's maybe the Alex Smith mold,
This was kind of a terrible draft. You had Joey Bosa 3, Ezekiel Elliott 4.
Right. And you should not take running backs.
Jalen Ramsey 5, Ronnie Stanley 6, DeForest Buckner 7,
Man.
Jack Conklin 8, Leonard Floyd 9, Eli Apple went 10. That was the top 10 picks.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, there you go. At least that explains it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of drafts, I mean, and bad drafts especially, Whitey, we've been talking a lot about the Kings obviously getting 13 this year, and it's sounding like this year's draft is supposed to be, we've seen people say the worst in 25 years. First off, how much do you even read into that? How much, because Giannis, even that 2013 draft everyone talks about, Giannis is still in there. Do you read much into that?
No, I don't. There's no way anyone can know that. The weakest in 25 years.
Right.
Who knows? But you guys were talking earlier about follically challenged NBA players, and I want to draft a guy that you guys didn't mention. Can I pick one that you guys didn't mention? Trey is balding.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Can I take him with my first pick in the follically challenged?
You want to talk about
draft?
holding on for dear life, man. That dude, like, what is going on there?
Well,
what's going on?
Have you seen the pictures?
Derek White came home.
Derek White came home. Have you seen the pictures of Trae Young? Or it'll be a picture of Trae Young, and then underneath somebody will have basically a lollipop with a little bit of hair on it, and they'll say that's Trae Young.
It's in the Trays too, because didn't we see Trey Lance?
Yeah, Trey Lance.
He's
got to come home too.
Yeah. I mean,
and then he cut his hair and he looked just like Dak Prescott. It was kind of kind of odd.
Trae Young has had this hair though since we've known, since he's been in the public light. It's been like he's been 16, 17 years old, and it's like he's got this literal baby hairs.
Yeah. And I love Tibbs, and I don't care whatever you like, it's your hair or not, whatever you want to do. But it's so funny because Tibbs has like very little hair, but he has that one little bit like here, and he combs it. And he takes such care combing those 4 strands of hair or whatever it is. Okay.
I'm pretty sure there are a number, and I won't name names, but I'm pretty sure there are at least maybe 4 or 5 coaches and analysts that I see that I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's tattoo or whatever, but it's not real hair. It's always, it's very, it's
tattoo.
You could women tattoo their
eyebrows.
Their eyebrows. I think these men are getting tattooed hairlines.
Yeah. Like Jalen Rose for a minute was like, okay, what's going on here? Because Jalen Rose had the sharpest hairline I've ever seen in my life. I mean, do you want to call anybody out? Is there anyone specifically that's sticking out to you? I mean, Stephen A is not doing great either.
But I'm saying it looks like a bald fade, right?
Yeah, right.
He's a current coach, and their team had high expectations but got bounced.
Are you talking about Mike Brown?
No, because he's just straight up.
Mike Brown's been.
This guy's hair is it's always the same length. He's in the Eastern Conference.
In the Eastern Conference, Doc.
I think he gets tattooed.
I can see it because it is pretty short.
It's always the same length.
We can look into that.
I'm already looking into it now. I'm telling
going
you.
on.
Doesn't this look like Doc?
Yeah.
I
see
what
it looks like. Yes, it looks like Doc's hair. Yeah.
Huh.
And it's not. Yeah.
It's always the same length.
And
Doc
everything's
used
fine.
to have a nice flat top too.
Yeah. I don't mean to take us another way because everything's fine, but I had treatments. I lost all my hair.
Did you really?
Yes. Yeah.
I would have never been able to
chemo,
guess.
and then it all came back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never been able to guess.
Yeah, because it was weird because it kind of grew back. It was a little different than it had been. But I was, and your hair comes out and they tell you, oh, it's probably going to grow back. That was the thing. Well, in most cases it does. So.
Right.
Oh, thank goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great head of hair, Whitey.
Great head of hair.
You definitely have a television, like an anchor man.
Oh well,
you can make it work. You can make it work.
It's really hair.
It's there.
Real hair.
Yeah, it's really there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. Well, shout out
cold
to
without hair, man.
Yeah. Shout out to all the hair out there.
Shout out to every single hair follicle out there, man.
Shout out to every
hair.
Just
keep doing you. You keep growing, man.
Shout out to the tattoos of hair as well. As long as it makes you feel good.
Exactly. You were getting roughed up around here on Friday.
I was.
Yes.
Why?
For your shout outs, skipping Mother's Day.
I didn't see Mother's Day.
You got cooked.
Yeah. And CC was saying, Chris does what he can and, to help you out. And Simone bailed you out. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. TC called you out? Wow. That's why he didn't call today, too.
You know what? There was
He's on the line right now.
That's hilarious. He was waiting.
There's so much going on.
That's hilarious.
Oh, too much going on to remember the mothers in your life.
There's so much happening. What did you do?
We just grabbed lunch or brunch. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So is this your first Sacramento Mother's Day? Yeah, you had
first
the whole squad come out.
Whole squad came out, enjoyed ourselves.
Starting to get hot too.
Yeah, TC and your guy Jay was beside himself. He was like, "What? And doesn't his wife just had a baby? What?"
It wasn't.
I didn't think about it until literally the second we got off air, everybody started talking about it. I didn't even think about it when you did it, or when you didn't do it.
I thought it was
it's
the
just
obvious.
Implied, you know?
I wasn't throwing a perfect game that day on Friday either, so I couldn't lean into you guys too much. But I had a feeling as soon as you guys cracked those mics open and you were talking about closeouts, shout outs, and moms weren't at the top of the
yeah. It's gonna be a great week.
It's gonna be bad.
Shout out to the weather.
Yep.
Shout out to the weather.
I had to bail you guys out, dude. I can't let you.
He shouted out the weather.
Weather first, off top, dude. From the top rope, he said the weather.
It wasn't great, but you just got to power through. You got to make a comeback. See, now if when Father's Day comes, now I can't.
You have to keep it right.
Right. If I say Father's Day, that's
can't play favorites.
Can you just be honest for a moment? If I hadn't bailed you out, would you have remembered that it was Mother's Day? Like you were preparing for that and planning for it, or no?
I think I would have forgot.
Oh no.
I think I was just so in my head. And it all happened so quick. You know how it is, Whitey.
Whitey's going to give you that free game. No, Whitey's not agreeing with you. He's going to give you the free game.
It just happens really quick.
It was funny because I was sitting over there, so I could only hear you guys. I was sitting in studio, and so I couldn't hear Simone, but I could hear the tone change from, it's going to be great. Yeah, shout out to the weather, and shout out to Simone's, well, shout out to the mother. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, we wouldn't forget that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting out of here. I'm turning this mic off.
Yeah,
all right.
We did well.
Drive Guys up next. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson, who's probably going to talk more trash about me. Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Simone, for everything. Thank you to Martin Gallegos. Go check that out on YouTube. Great interview. If you want some A's 101 on who to look forward to coming to Sacramento next season. Until tomorrow, secure the bag. Like the beam.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles